Welcome to the best betting show ever. I'm Lawrence Presman, Joe Ranieri, and Art DeCesar joining us. And yes, you heard it right. This is the best betting show ever. It is the name of our new show. The three of us will be on every single day, Monday to Friday. The show starts on September 1st. But until then, we've got two shows lined up. We've got our NFL preview. It's already up on WagerTalk TV. And this is our college football preview show. Hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel. And Art DeCesar from the Westgate, tell us, my friend, why do you not like Iowa? Are you just against potatoes? Wait, that might be Idaho. Are you against chips? No, that's potatoes. What's your problem with Iowa?
I believe they do corn in
Thank
Iowa.
you.
Corn.
Yeah.
I love corn. I'm a corn guy. I'm not against corn.
Cornbread I hate. I am not a cornbread guy, but I do like me some corn.
Yeah, corn on the cob is great. I just look at their schedule, and obviously the Big Ten is, them and the SEC are the best two conferences, but you just look at their schedule. Week 2, that rivalry game, and I know rivalry games are always tough, but they have to go to Ames, Iowa, and play a good Iowa State team. They get really tough games. They are at home, but they have Indiana, they have Penn State, they have Oregon, all at home, but those teams are all better than Iowa. Now, the 7.5s out there, you got to pay juice, minus 150, minus 160, but I feel good about this team going 7-5, 6-6. To me, it's an easy under 7.5.
Art, I'll stay with you quick before we go to Joe. This Iowa team over the years have been, well, a sleeping pill, if you will. And then last year we saw them wake up. What kind of team are they going to roll out this year? Is this going to be an under team like the past, or are we going to see them score?
I mean, their offense can obviously only go up because it's been so bad these last handful of years. Listen, Iowa's always going to play grind out games. They're going to have good offensive linemen, good interior play, and that's how the Big Ten plays anyway, and that's how they like to play. But to me, to think that this team is going to get to 8 wins with that schedule just does not seem possible.
And Joe, you agree?
It's all about what their quarterback does. I mean, the problem for them is that they haven't been able to throw the ball over the last couple of seasons. But they've had to win on defense, special teams, and running the ball. They got this kid Gronowski this year who's coming from the FCS level. He's like 30, so at least he's played some football and has got some experience. So to me, I'm with you on it. All depends on whether or not they have any success throwing the ball. If they don't, they're going to have to keep doing it with special teams and defense, because that's the only way they can win games, and they always seem to win just enough games to cash that over ticket. We'll see this year.
Art, let's turn our attention to Utah. You like them. You're high on them this year. You think they're going to go over in their wins.
I do. Now, it's a big number, 8.5. If you can find an 8 out there, it's better. Now, the 8.5, you are going to get plus money on the juice. I love the coach. Their quarterback situation has been so bad the last couple of years with Cam Rising in and out. The guy played 1,000,000 years. They might have the best offensive line in all of college football. 2 of their guys are projected first-round picks. They get Texas Tech at home. They get Arizona State at home. They get Kansas State at home. They get a lot of their tougher games at home. And I don't hate, because the Big 12 is kind of like a 3 or 4 horse race, plus 650 on them to win the Big 12. I don't hate that as a little sprinkle as well.
Joe?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue with. I mean, it's one of the best coaches in the country. They have a home field advantage, Art, like none other. I think there's going to be a changing of the guard in the Big 12, and we saw it last year. I think we're going to start to see it again this year. Utah didn't have their quarterback last year, but they're no shortage of recruits, so I'm with you here. The sky is the limit for Utah. We all thought they were going to win it last year, and they just couldn't get healthy. I think this year could very well be the year to go ahead and back them.
You guys are watching the best betting show ever. Joe Ranieri, you can find him on Sports Grid regularly. You can find me over at WagerTalk. Art DeCesar, you can find at the Westgate Sportsbook. And that's part of why we're doing the show, really, guys. You're going to be able to watch the show Monday to Friday. September 1st will be our first show that isn't a preview show. And basically, Joe and I are professional bettors. We try to beat the book, and Art the Caesar is the book. So he's going to be providing us with daily information on where all the bets are. And I forgot to ask you that in the NFL preview show, Art. But in the college football preview show, I will remember to ask you. So I will stop right now and ask you, what type of bets is the Westgate taking future-wise in college football?
So a couple of teams we could just hit on for their over-under wins. People are very high on Clemson, taking them over 10. There are some 10.5s out there. We haven't gotten there yet. We've just juiced the 10 from flat to minus 130 on the over. A team in the Big 12 who obviously I'm a little anti because I'm pro-Utah is Texas Tech. They're taking their over wins over 8.5. It was minus 140. Now we're 9 flat. And they're big on the Air Force under. 6.5, taking that as an under. And let me just throw this out here. This is another Big 12 team. Arizona State, if they were to somehow win the national championship, as we currently speak, we would get murdered on that. We have taken like multiple 4-5-figure bets on Arizona State to win the national championship.
Wow. There we go. You're going to hear that information every single day when the show starts on Monday, September 1st. Art's going to come on and tell us exactly where all the money is being laid. He's also going to tell us bets that he personally likes and, some real big syndicates out there and what they're playing. So there's a little sneak preview. Art, let's move our attention to winning the MAC. This division gets a lot of play as we see a lot of weekday games. You like Toledo here.
Ooh. I do, and they are the favorites, and they're favorites for a reason. Plus 110 all the way up to plus 130. So you're not getting a nice juicy price on it, but the coach is good. The quarterback's back. This is a team who I believe won the MAC 2 years ago. They're kind of back to what they need to be. I like it. I'm not saying it's, the greatest value out there because it's such a low number, but I think it's low for a reason, and it's come down. Like I said, it's as low as plus 110 in some places. It was as high as plus 160, plus 165 when we opened it. We're at 130 now, so we've seen some pretty good action and sharp action come on it as well, and it makes me feel like that's a team I want to back in the MAC because I love that conference.
Joe?
Art, and I like that because it's realistic, but I keep looking at this Buffalo team returning, 9-10 starters on defense, and you need to play defense in order to win some games in the MAC here, and it feels like I'm going to be interested to see how they do. They're not much more expensive, right? I think they're plus 4-1, plus 5-1 right now, but it's... The chalk could very well be there, but Buffalo's the team I'm most worried about.
All right, welcome in. It is Tuesday. It's time for Total
I can see
Bases,
that. And listen, it's funny. They don't even
you're
play
all watching
each
this on
other.
demand.
I know.
Buffalo and Toledo.
So,
video
stream on
it is
live,
one of those
so
things.
We're just going to record this.
No, I mean, when you look at the MAC, there is always like a kind of 3 or 4 team race. Like you said, Buffalo's definitely in the...
So, yeah, we're going to the show's not going to change. We're going to get right into it. And I did tweet out, so I'll be looking at Twitter for questions. But Brian Leonard, I'm going to start with this game because I think we all saw it similar last night, and it did not go the way anyone planned, and that's Reds-Dodgers. Reds laid an egg last night, 7-0 loss. I think we all thought that they were maybe a little bit of value in that spot. I thought the over was in play, and I got 7 runs there from the Dodgers, yet the Reds contributed nothing. Not the only team we sort of saw fall flat in a spot where they needed a win. Now they come back. Another big game tonight. It looks like Kershaw versus Nick Martinez. Can the Reds bounce back here?
Well, we've talked about teams that need to win. And if you need to win, that means you're not that good. And that's the problem with Cincinnati. Love the team being from Cleveland. That's the team I root for in the National League. I'm in Pittsburgh, but they're falling fast. And it doesn't help that they're on the road against the Dodgers. Kershaw going against Martinez today. Kershaw is basically about a 180 favorite right now, a total of 9. If you're taking a look at offense, as in the last 2 weeks, Cincinnati has been poor. They're at 84 WRC plus, which is 24th in the league. The Dodgers number 9 at 109. Neither team really hitting great, especially Cincinnati. They're struggling a little bit, but that's the way I'm looking at this one. Is you got Nick Martinez, 4.59 ERA, 4.10 expected, 1.20 WHIP. He's deserved a little bit better than what his numbers have been this year. His career numbers after 8 seasons, 4.17. And when he's gotten hit this year, he's gotten hit hard. So he's one of those guys that is very similar to a lot of the players out there in Major League Baseball. Well, one day they look great, the next day they look terrible. And his StatCast page shows that. Really, his walk rate, 87th percentile, hard hit rate, 85th, are both impressive. He only walks 5.7%. But his chase rate, his whiff rate, and his extension are all in bottom 10. That is what has hurt him this year. Clayton Kershaw, my hat's off to him. I thought he was done last year. Comes in with an 8-2 record, 3.13 ERA, 3.96 expected, 1.20 WHIP. His is very similar. Where what he's good at, he's very good. His barrel rate, 94th percentile, ground ball rate, 86th, walk rate, 82nd. But he's got no fastball at all. He's in the 2nd percentile fastball velocity, 6th percentile of strikeouts, throws the 4 pitches, but his 4-seam only throws 35% of the time because it's only 89 miles an hour, which is 4 miles an hour less than an average left-handed pitcher. I prefer the Dodgers here, but I'm not going to lay that number. Maybe find a way to play maybe the Cincinnati team total under. But there's plenty of games on the board today. That's just my first thoughts on this one.
So everyone, it's $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk, and we are all going to have a $5 play out. Mine's up already. Free plays up as well. So go to WagerTalk.com and see what these 3 marvelous cappers have to offer today. Regarding this game, pretty surprised to see the Dodgers shut down the Reds like that. But the Dodgers are hitting better than the Reds. I have the Reds in current form ranked 22, where I have the Dodgers ranked 11 in hitting. The bullpen is heavily in the Reds' favor, though. And I got these 2 pitchers ranked neck and neck. I know Nick Martinez is not as good of a pitcher as Clayton Kershaw, but Clayton Kershaw is on the tail end of his career. But as far as expected numbers and how they've been performing in current form, I have them neck and neck. I mean, no difference. Nick Martinez actually has pretty good numbers against these Dodgers batters in his history in 84 at-bats, but a lot of those numbers might have been compiled before he went to Japan and came back. So I don't know how much credence we can put in those numbers. This looks deadlocked to me. If anything, I think the Dodgers or the Reds might come back today. Clayton Kershaw is doing his rejuvenation act. He's gotten young again. Hopefully this isn't old Clayton Kershaw who's great in the regular season and stinks in the postseason. Maybe he can get some wins in the postseason as well this year. We'll see about that. But regarding today's game, too close to call for me.
I think I'd run it right back with the over here. I see there's signs of regression for both starting pitchers. Reminds me a little bit of our conversation on Mets Phillies last night, where I thought, I couldn't quite get there with the Mets because I thought, maybe there was regression signs for both starting pitchers, and we saw a bunch of runs in that game. Kind of the same way I feel about this game. I'd love to find a way to play the Reds. I think if Kershaw and the Dodgers were to continue to take money, and suddenly I could get Reds plus 1.5 in like the minus 120 range, I might be like inclined to jump in with the Reds. But if not, then the way I would have to look at this one would be the over. You're getting the 9 flat, which is appealing, of course. If 9 is much more appealing from an over standpoint than 9.5. If both teams get to 4, you're not going to lose. So that's certainly something. It's a number. If I'm looking to play an over, you kind of like to find 8.5 or 9 if you can. I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot for overs, and you're getting that here. And then just off of a lot of what you guys have said. Neither pitcher striking anyone out. Not a ton of swing and miss at either side. Dodgers offense showed up last night, put up 7 runs off Hunter Green. I can't believe that, with the total of 8, I can't believe we couldn't get one single run from the Reds. So it's like, I think that the concern going into last night's game was where the Dodgers going to come out flat, and they certainly didn't. It was an easy win for them. Even with maybe an extra day of rest, the Reds bullpen is not it has not been great this year. And we've kind of talked about the Dodgers at times struggling in that department as well. I think from more of a how they have the bullpen set up standpoint, but still they've shown the ability to give up runs. So Reds plus 1.5 if it came back in the range, but the over I think has some value here. Like even at 9, I think that may have moved. I think it was 8.5 and kind of quickly moved up to 9. I still see some value at the over of 9 in this game. So that's the way I would lean in this one. All right, I'm going to head over to Twitter. I don't even know if people have seen the tweet yet, which is fine. I'm sure they come to the YouTube channel. I was just looking over there for questions, comments, because we still want to try to run off the chat if we can. But since no one's asked for a specific game, let's go to Brian Leonard. You were right about the Guardians last night. That was, and how about Ian Seymour finally gets his first career start, pays it off as I thought he might. No doubter for you on the Rays. Now we got another young guy that I thought pitched considerably well last week, even though the Guardians choked the game away for me at the end, and that was Parker Messick. Now, I think if you watched the start, he maybe was a little bit fortunate, with a couple base running mistakes from the Diamondbacks in that game, and he did sort of, kind of pitch his way out of a couple of jams. So now it's going to be Messick's second big league start, but his first one in front of the home fans. Do you have any faith in your Guardians here, or does the losing continue for Cleveland?
Yeah, boy. That makes it 10 games in which they've the most they scored was 5 runs. That was once. I believe they scored 4 runs once. Every other one has been worse. They've been shut out 4 or 5 times. This Cleveland Bats, we've talked about it all season, that they're not very good, and it's really showing up now that they're not going to be able to make the playoffs. It's time to bring up the young guys, and I hope Cleveland does that. Get some of these guys out of there that is not going to be a future for the Guardians. Boz going against Messick. Messick is about a 115 favorite right now, total of 8 to the under or 7.5 to the over. From my standpoint, when I look at this, Parker Messick, as you pointed out, he was a little bit lucky. He had a 1.35 ERA, 1.20 whip, but his expected ERA was 4.33. That said, if you followed my handicapping over the years, I love these unknown lefties that teams bring up, and this is the year of the lefty. It's been the big talk. I've talked about this all year long. The lefties are the guys that are having success. And so there's been value on lefties, but now everybody knows about it. So you're not going to find it like you did earlier in the season. But I love lefties when they're facing somebody who hasn't seen them before, and that's the Rays here. So I expect Messick, to have a good pitching game. Shane Baz going for Tampa. He's got the 8-10 record, 5.22 ERA, but he hasn't had any luck all season long. His expected ERA is only 3.93. His whip's a little high at 1.37. He's got a great fastball, 87th percentile, ground ball rate, 75th percentile. The only thing he struggles with is the barrel rate, only in the 15th percentile. But he's facing a team right now that's not barreling anything up. They had 2 hits yesterday from 1 to 9. This Cleveland team, there's nobody on this team that is really hitting well. They've had guys go on many streaks, but for the most part, they're not hitting at all. So if I'm looking at this game, I think both offenses are going to continue to struggle. I would either look for the under, or I would look for a way to play maybe Tampa Bay under a little for a team total, because I think the lefty Messick is going to have some success. And the good thing is, from Cleveland's standpoint, since they're not scoring, they're not winning, so all their best bullpen arms are going to be available.
The Guardians are not a team I want to be backing right now, but I will here. Here's a statistic for you. Boz has given up 30 earned run in his last 28 innings pitched. That's not good. His saving grace is that he pitches better on the road than at home. But I think if the Guardians are going to win a game, which, look, baseball underdogs have every shot to win. Even the worst of the worst, excluding the Colorado Rockies, can win 30 to 30, 40% of their games. Cleveland's going to win a game here eventually, and I think this will be it if they're going to. I said in yesterday's show that I don't put a lot of credence on lefty versus righty, but in this situation I do, because it's a new pitcher that the Rays haven't seen. And so in this case, I think the lefty righty thing is very relevant because it's a pitcher they haven't seen before, and he's a new guy in MLB. The Rays right now are hitting 60, and the Guardians are right now are hitting 30. So it's really hard to put faith in a team that's hitting that badly right now. But I just think either the Guardians team total over or Guardians win here would be the play. I haven't played it yet just because their batting is just so bad. But Baz given up 30 runs in his last 28 innings. You can't expect him to have a good game here, even against this offense. So if I were to bet it, that's how I would go, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I didn't, pick these games. The two games that I've picked so far just happen to be probably my two strongest totals opinions of the day. So we talked about an over in Reds Dodgers. I would go under here. I don't like either of these lineups. The Rays don't really hit either. Last night's deceiving, 14 hits, 9 runs on 14 hits, but Bybee didn't have much, and then they kind of tacked on against the back end of the Guardians bullpen. You should see much better from the Guardians here from a pitching standpoint. Even with Messick maybe being a little bit fortunate to only give up what he gave up, I think the 1 run against the Diamondbacks, I still thought he threw it well, challenged hitters. And let's be honest, the Rays lineup is not even in close to the caliber of an offensive unit that the Diamondbacks, even with the Diamondback struggles, I think that goes unnoticed at times. That's still a very good lineup, even without Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez. It's still a quality lineup, and there's tough at-bats 1 through 9. Brian made a good point last week about the team speed of that Diamondbacks team, the base running. The Rays have a little of that, but they don't pack nearly the punch that Arizona does. And so I think this is actually a far more favorable setup for Messick. He's at home. I know he's probably never pitched at Progressive Field, but Columbus is down the road, and it's like it's still a better pitching setup than having to pitch at Chase Field, which is very hitter-friendly ballpark. And the Rays have probably these guys have probably seen him limited. I'm sure there's some familiarity. Columbus and Durham do play, but they probably haven't seen a ton of him. On the other side, Shane Baz, he's my guy. I've talked about it a number of times on this show. I've always been probably higher than the market on him, and I'm still higher than the market on him, especially when I think you guys kind of both pointed out those expected ERA numbers. He's been a little bit unlucky, and that's a profile that I kind of like to try to back if I like a guy and they've been unlucky and it looks like a spot they can have success. And who's not having success against this Guardians lineup right now? So I'll call this one under. I think it's 7.5. I think it's another strong totals look on the board today. All right, we have so a couple things before we go on to the next game. Since everyone's going to be watching the show on demand today, because the live link was what sort of broke down. Drop your comments and questions below. I know myself, I'll make sure I spend extra time in the comment section today. So if you got a comment or a question, drop it below the YouTube replay, and one of the three of us will get in and answer your questions, comments, because that is the basis of this show is interaction with the chat, and we don't have you guys today, so I'm going to spend extra time in the comment section. So again, you're going to be watching this on YouTube. Before you hit the comment section, though, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the show tremendously. Guys, we have some comments rolling in on Twitter right now. So let's go to Colin Gregory wants to talk Padres Mariners. This was one we got right from the show yesterday. I saw some chat. I played the Royals yesterday, so clearly not a good day for me. That game was over before it even started. But one we kind of all got right yesterday was the Mariners.
Nope, not
they
me.
Came out.
You guys got it right.
Oh, okay. All right. I remember someone like the Mariners. Maybe it was Brian, but
it was Brian.
I know I like the Mariners yesterday as well. It got there in the end. Big series here. I still think both of these teams have a lot to play for in their respective leagues. Obviously, both in really still in kind of hot battles for the division right now. Tonight, it's going to be Dylan Cease, and we got Luis Castillo on the mound for the Mariners. Brian, will you go the other way here? Do you think the Padres even this series up today?
Yeah, yesterday was a dream day for not only myself and my clients, but anybody who watched the show, because it's one of those days where basically everything I had worked out well. I was Detroit was a popular play, and money was coming in against them. I've seen that many times, and of course, they leave with the Scooble pitches another really good game, and the Athletics come back late. Ruined our parlay, actually. I thought we had a winner there. But yeah, it's hopefully I can be half as good today as I was yesterday. We are looking at what game we're looking at?
Padres Mariners.
Okay, sorry. I started talking about Detroit. I thought we were going there. Cesar Castillo. Castillo is about a 115 favorite right now. Total of 7.5 to the over, 8 to the under. Or even, you can get even money at the 8. I liked Seattle yesterday, and I like Dylan Cease, but he has not really had a good season. He's had terrible luck all year long. Comes in with a 4.71 ERA, 3.52 expected. Talked about that yesterday to be, basically 1.2 mile or 1.2 runs higher than what your expected ERA is. He's had some very, very bad luck. His whip's 132. And his StatCast pay shows that all of his metrics look really impressive for the most part. Whiff rate 95th percentile, strikeout rate 90th, but he's having a problem with walks, and that's something that he's walked in his career. He's got a 10.0 walk rate, which is about 1.6 better than league average. Worse than league average, higher than league average. But his walk rate's 24th percentile, barrel rate 21st, in Green Bay. Ground ball rate, football season, ground ball rate 22nd percentile. So he's a guy that I continue to find value on, but that expected value just hasn't come back and gotten them. And then Luis Cruz, Castillo, 3.57 ERA, 4.39 expected. So just by looking at that, your normal wise guys going to be looking at San Diego in this game. I guess I'm kind of looking the same way. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but Castillo's extensions in the first percentile, hard hit rate the 7th, barrel 14th, exit velocity 15th. And the only thing he does really well is he keeps down on walks, 6.5% for the second year in a row. I've been looking for good spots to go against Seattle and Castillo. This may be the best one out there. So you're getting San Diego, who ceases, at least to me, the much better pitcher, and you're getting them. But the only problem, you're only getting them at plus 100, plus 105. I don't know that's enough because Seattle's so good at home. So may try to find a way of betting Seattle team total under, something to that effect. But that's the way I would look at this one at this point.
$5 Tuesday, guys. So all day on WagerTalk.com, you can get our best plays for $5. So go to WagerTalk.com. Mine's up already. I have a free play out as well. And these two guys certainly will have something out if they don't already. Yeah, I was the one who liked the Padres yesterday. Actually, I was off on almost everything yesterday. I liked the Nationals. They got crushed. I liked the Padres, crushed. Who else did I like that got crushed? There were two other teams that I liked that got crushed. So everything was off yesterday. But, I'm going to bet baseball almost 300 days this year, so I can deal with one bad day. I lost 2 bets, which were 2% each. So, yeah, I can deal with that. Number 1 in 2025. So I can deal with that. Regarding this one, my numbers line up again in favor of the Padres, but I have two big red flags. The first red flag is Cease against these batters has a pretty bad history, 268 average against and an 843 OPS. I don't like that very much. Castillo's numbers against the Padres, not much better. 280 average against and 707 OPS. His OPS is okay, but the average is a little too high. It means they're hitting a lot on him, but not scoring a lot. Not a lot of long balls. They're hitting a bunch of singles, and he's getting away with it. So these are pretty big sample sizes too. So that would make me say, oh, let's look at the over. However, San Diego's bullpen just on fire. You wouldn't think that after watching yesterday. Their bullpen just barfed on all over the field yesterday. They were horrible. San Diego had a 4-2 lead, and their bullpen just gacked it away. So their bullpen still is better than Seattle's, in my opinion. Seattle really improved their lineup at the trade deadline, though. So they have a lot of dangerous batters from 1 to 9. But still, I have San Diego ranked about 7 points higher than Seattle. And I have Cease regarding his expected numbers and current form, 3 points higher than Castillo, not a lot. The problem with Cease, as Brian mentioned, is he walks too many guys. I have him as one of my chronic walkers on my chronic walker list. So regarding, taking him against this dangerous lineup with his bad history and he's walking too much, his command is not what it should be. I don't really want to take them today, but I don't want to take Seattle either. If anything, I would look at an over, maybe the Padres team total over perhaps in this one.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a good matchup for Cease. I know he does walk guys, but the Mariners lineup really does swing for the fences a lot of times. And it's like, if you've watched Cease over the last, well, really this season, but like since the second half or since the All-Star break, where I do think he has thrown the ball better in the second half. It's the walks that have killed him. But he's still racking up the strikeouts. So he's kind of almost been like effectively wild in some scenarios. Now, it wasn't effective against the Dodgers, of course. That was the game where he had 6 walks and couldn't get out of the 4th inning, and the Dodgers, got to him for like 3 or 4 runs. But in some of these other starts, like he wiped out the Cardinals, 5 innings, shutout innings, 9 strikeouts, 5 1/3 shutout innings against the Nats, 10 strikeouts in that one. Had a good start against the Red Sox, 2 runs over 6 innings, 7 strikeouts. Still had the couple walks. Last time out against the Giants, I felt like, is a little bit deceiving, that stat line. They had a huge lead in that game. I don't know that they kind of just like, he was really strong for 5 innings, goes back out there for the 6th, gives up a couple of runs, but I think it was like 8-2 at that point. So it was almost like, all right, we'll just see if, we'll just kind of let him go and get his allotment of pitches in. When he left the game, still 7 strikeouts in line for the win. So, and then you go to the, what Brian was talking about, expected ERA is much, lower. His expected ERA is much lower than his actual ERA. The batting average is there. He still throws 98. You would expect Cease to kind of figure it out at some point. I just feel like, and he's a veteran. It's not like we haven't seen Dylan Cease be really good for long stretches of time. So I look at him and I think it's in there. And then talk about the Padres bullpen. This is still an elite relief unit that's actually set up pretty nicely here. Whereas the Mariners have used some guys, like there's some bullpen usage on the Mariners side, and the one guy I want no part of in this rotation really is Luis Castillo. I feel like he's the one sort of most due to get bombed at this point of the starters that they have. He probably has the worst stuff at this point. He doesn't generate a lot of swing and miss. He's giving up hard hit all over the place. So I'll actually use the Padres for my parlay leg. This might make my client card too. Like Brian said, I think this is a really good spot for the Padres, and this is still a very good baseball team. Not going to find the Padres at this sort of price, in my opinion, very often. So, Brian, what's the Padres money line right now?
Yeah, it's currently plus 100. A lot of the places that are the weaker books as opposed to the sharper ones, you're laying a little bit, but the sharper books here you're getting anywhere from plus 100 to plus 104. So it evens out to about a plus 100.
Yeah, I was gonna say anything in and around that even money range. Yeah. I kind of feel like Padres end up in like the minus 105, minus 110 range at some point today. I think you're gonna see the market gravitate toward the Padres here. So yeah, we'll take even money there for Padres as my parlay leg. Okay. Back to Twitter. Ethan Bainbridge, one of our regulars in the chat, he is now on Twitter saying, thoughts on Nationals Yankees today. TB, I was kind of wrong on that one too. I lean toward the Nats. Thankfully, some of the other chat kind of got in my head and got me thinking, and I did kind of talk myself off of it as we were doing on the show, Brian Leonard. The Yankees do kind of blow out these teams, right? These bottom feeder teams. That's like, it's almost another way that the Yankees sort of like hype up their profile as a team, especially this year. And then they just go play a real team like the Red Sox and get blasted for a weekend. But there is something to that. I do feel like the Yankees typically kind of, flex at home on lesser teams like the Nationals. They've also been pretty good against left-handed pitching. So do you give the Nats much of a bump for Mackenzie Gore here, or is this going to be more Yankees in the Bronx today?
Yeah, he is one of their better pitchers, if not their best. But he has struggled a little bit, the second half of the season. Louis Heel back from injury. He comes in, and we're looking at about a 180 favorite for the Yankees here, total of 9. Mackenzie Gore on the season, 4.11 ERA, 4.21 expected, 1.35 whip. His whip has always been high. His career whip is 1.4. What he's good at, very similar to a lot of the pitchers we talked about today. What he's good at, and when he's bad at, he's bad at. And so the strike rate, 86th percentile, whiff rate 83rd, extension 85th, but when he's getting hit hard. His barrel rate 17th percentile, hard hit rate 25th, and he's only in the 25th percentile in ground ball rate, which means fly balls. And this is not a good team to go against when you have a lot of fly balls, and it's not a good place to go against them. As I mentioned yesterday, the Yankees have got a few teams have got twice as many home runs over the Pittsburgh Pirates on the season. That's hard to believe. Even though Pittsburgh pitches in a slightly pitcher's park, it's still crazy that one lineup cannot hit home runs. Heel, 4.26 ERA, 4.88 expected, 1.68 whip. That's been his problem as his career, 1.27 whip. His strikeout numbers, if you take a look from his rookie season, now this is something that concerns me with Heel. I know he's trying to pitch differently. He's trying not to walk as many batters. But he started off in 2021 at 29.5% strikeout rate, down to 26.3, 26.8. This year, 20.0. And yet his walk rate is 15.3. It's even higher than it's been any other time in his career. Granted, small sample size. He is coming off of injury. You got to give him credit for that. But he's a guy that they're trying to get to not be so dominant on his fastball, and because he's in the 78th percentile in his fastball velocity, 85th in extension, but his ground ball rate is low, so he's a guy who gives up a lot of fly balls. So we got two pitchers give up a lot of fly balls here, and that kind of points me towards the over. It opened 8.5, 20 is now it's 9, as high as minus 15, but I still think that's the way I would take a look at this. The Yankees bullpen, they struggle with all year long. Washington's got the worst bullpen in baseball. So I prefer the over here, over 9, and you're getting it minus 115. That's the way I would play this one.
$5 Tuesday, guys. Go to WagerTalk.com, see what cappers have available for $5. Yeah. Heel is kind of an enigma because his last 2 starts, he's only given up 2 earned runs in 10 innings. And start before that, he only gave up 2. So if you look at that, you say, wow, he's not bad. But then you look at his walk ratio. He's walking almost 80% of the guys he's striking out. His expected numbers, terrible. If you include expected ERA and current form, he ranks 22 out of 30 on a curve of 30 starting pitchers. Not good. Gore started out the season on fire. He was actually like a top 10 pitcher, and then he's just fallen off a cliff. He hasn't been good lately at all. And his numbers against these Yankees in his career, 53 at-bats against, he's been tagged for a 302 average and a 928 OPS against. So this is terrible numbers. So I would look to an over here. Neither bullpen, very good. I mean, the Yankees have talent in their bullpen. They're not performing, though. I think there's a lot of guys on this Yankee roster that are feeling a little bit of pressure, which is funny because they're basically qualified for the playoffs right now. I mean, they could lose that spot, but if the Royals or Texas step their game up, they could lose that spot. But the Yankees are in playoff position right now, and they're still feeling pressure, which is kind of funny because if a team like the Guardians or the Diamondbacks were in the playoff position, they'd be celebrating. But this is what playing in New York is all about. Yeah, both teams have good hitters. I mean, I said in previous shows the Yankees are just an average team, but actually they're hitting right now. You know, Bellinger and guys besides Judge are actually hitting right now. Jazz Chisholm has put in back-to-back home run games. I would look to an over here. I haven't played it yet. You're muted, Adam.
Yeah, the dogs were barking. Sorry about that. I don't think you're wrong about the Yankees being an average team. I just think they're on one of their little upticks, and I do think there's something to, them being at home against an inferior team like the Nationals. These are games that they're probably going to win. Biggest. I hate that we all agree, but this really does feel like an over. And the reason I think that is, I think you still get some credit for Mackenzie Gore. Like, he is the Nationals ace, and I do think he gets a little bit of market love. Maybe it's not on the line here, but I think the total being 9 maybe reflects like 2 pitchers that the books feel are like a little bit above average. Because, Heel is like a tough case because, of course, he's coming off injury. When he's healthy, he can be very, very solid. He's really been pretty good since he got called back up. Since he came back from injury, he's been pretty solid. Last 3 starts, 2 earned run. He's pitched 5 or more in all 3. Hasn't given up more than 2 runs. So he's been solid. But I'll go back to something I've said all year with the Nationals. It didn't work out yesterday, but they do sort of profile as a better option against right-handed pitching. They're not a team I want against the lefty, but I like, they typically generate some offense when they go up against a right-handed starter. Now, you talked about the Yankees hitting Tokyo, Brandon. The Yankees are in League Baseball, WRC plus against left-handed pitching, 119. That's very good. They have killed lefties this year, and they've done it all season. So you get one again in Mackenzie Gore here, who struggled a little bit, who maybe still gets a little market respect. I think you have to look at the over because, the Nationals have nothing in that bullpen right now. There's a couple good arms that can hold their own, but like if you're looking at that collection of pitchers, it's going to get out of hand. And then you're going to start to see, like, this is the other thing you might start to see with the Nationals. They have so few arms they really trust at this point that if they do get behind, it's going to probably get out of hand because they're still going to sort of manage this to have, like, they're going to want their good arms to potentially win some games. Like, I know they're 53 and 78, but they're still trying to set up to win some games. So if they fall behind and then you go with like the 6th or 7th guy on the pecking order in that bullpen, there's going to be add-on runs, no question. And so I think over 9 makes total sense. I would have had this at 10 for a number. So I think you are getting a little line value there with the total of 9. All right, let's move on. I'm going to head back to Twitter here. Remember, we are doing this show. We had a little technical difficulty today. So if you're watching, you are watching on demand, drop your questions and comments in the chat. We're all going to spend more time in the chat today. So we want to make sure, that we still include you guys because we miss you here. We're on, doing this recorded just doesn't feel the same not having the chat going on the right-hand side. Hopefully we'll be back live tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, like we have been every day so far this season. All right, let's go back to the chat. Chat wants to talk about Angels Rangers. I have a couple of requests for this game. I personally have an opinion on this game, so I'm glad we're bringing this one up. Brian Leonard, the Rangers, it's like I feel like they should be so far out of this race at this point, but it's almost like they either play their way back in or they lose when the other teams lose. So it's like every day I pull up the standings, I'm like, they're still only 5 games back. They've lost 2 games, yet they're still only 5 back within striking distance. At this point, the Angels have kind of played their way out of it, I would say, even with a win last night. So Angels, Rangers, couple lefties that I don't think Tokyo Brandon cares for particularly much here. Kikuchi and Patrick Corbin. And the Rangers clinging on to the slightest hopes of a playoff spot in the American League. So how are you seeing this one? Angels, Rangers, does the home team bounce back here?
Yeah, this is another one of those games that I talked about at the end of the show yesterday where I thought there was value on the dog and the Angels throw the shutout. Texas, they're not going to the playoffs. They got a 6.9% chance of making the playoffs right now. They just lost a game they needed to have with their best pitcher on them. Oh, obviously, one of the two of their 2 best pitchers because they've got a couple guys having really nice seasons. But I don't want any part of Texas. This is a team I'm looking to fade. Corbin saw better days earlier in the season than he's had now. Kikuchi's starting to get it back again. And you're getting it basically a pick-up situation. Currently, the line is the Angels minus basically 108, 110. Let's go 110, and 8.5 on the total. The Angels with Kikuchi on the mound, he's only got that 6-8 record, but 3.42 ERA, 4.39 expected. So he's been a little lucky. 1.42 WHIP isn't pretty. His extension is excellent in the 80th percentile, but other than that, there's not a lot more red on his StatCast page. A lot of blue, average exit velocity, 9th percentile. He's getting hit. He's getting hit pretty good. Patrick Corbin, 4.61 ERA, 4.66 expected. Yeah, that's about what we probably expected coming into the season after he got off to that great start of the year. 1.41 WHIP, always been a problem for him. He walks too many guys. He gives up too many. His actually walk rate is just is basically about league average, a little bit better, but he gives up a lot of solid hits. His fastball velocity, 12th percentile. His strike rate, 26th. Ground ball rate, 31st. So a lot of fly balls there. Basically, slider, sinker, cutter is what he goes with, but he does have 6 pitches. I kind of like the Angels here. I think the Angels, from an offensive standpoint, they're the much better hitting team. Granted, this is a ballpark that doesn't give up a lot of home runs this year, and that's a lot what they do. But the Angels have been out of it for a while, and they continue to fight. I'm not sure Texas has that fight in them again. Keep in mind, this is a team just 2 years ago went to the World Series. Disappointing season for Texas. They're not going to make the playoffs, and I think everybody knows that except for them, probably.
The Angels are extremely scrappy, man. These guys play their butts off, and they have ever for the last 3-4 years, even when Ohtani was on the team. These guys play. They got some decent bats in their lineup. I mean, I like the Ohopi guy and Ward, and I mean, they've got some decent bats. Trout as well. I mean, obviously, Trout in his prime was one of the best pure hitters in baseball, a great 5-tool guy. He's not that anymore, unfortunately, but he's still a solid hitter. So I like the Angels, how they match up in this, but I don't like their hitting. The problem is I got the Angels ranked higher than Texas at everything except run production. Now, Texas, I have them dead average at 15 out of 30 teams, but I have the Angels ranked 27, which is bad. So if the Angels can get some run production, I like them to win the game here. If you look at Corbin, how he has performed against the Angels in his career, he's got 85 at-bats against. They have crushed him. 353 average against and an 866 OPS. So, I mean, I don't know if they crushed him. They've hit him pretty good. The guys that are doing the damage, though, are not Trout and the guys you expect. It's Travis Darnold and Ward and Ohopi. Yeah, Ohopi has 4 for 2. So these kind of guys, if they can get their bats going in this game, I like the Angels. If they can't, I don't like anything, because there's no way I would put money on Texas with Corbin on the mound right now.
Yeah, I still had my Fangraph sorted WRC Plus against left-handed pitching, and neither of these teams hit lefties particularly well. I think that's a point, I guess, to be made here. Both, if you kind of like look at the important categories against left-handed pitching, I would say both sort of hover around that bottom third of the league, right around 20 for both of those teams. So, that to me kind of leans me toward, I know I've had a lot of totals opinions here. That to me leans me toward another under, especially if you can find a 9. I don't know if there's many 9s out there, but I see some 8 even monies, which leads me to believe there's probably some 9 minus 120s out there somewhere. I think if you could get a 9, an under is a reasonable look here. I would, again, the Rangers, I kind of agree with Brian, like it's pretty obvious that they're not a playoff team. And I go back to some of the comments that Kevin Pillar made before he retired, how it seems like a disconnected clubhouse. Those are not really things you want to hear when you're talking about a team maybe battling their way back into a postseason race. The vibes are not high, in my opinion, in Texas right now. And they're looking for someone to put them out of their misery. Maybe that someone is the Angels, who, to your point, Tokyo Brandon, I feel like the Angels have been out since April 1st. I mean, this team is not, I thought they were one of the worst teams in the league this year. And they continue to go out there with no bullpen and lesser pitchers, and they just scratch and claw. I actually think, 62 and 69 for them right now is like a very respectable season. Even though they're not going to make the playoffs either, they've battled every step of the way. And another great effort last night to win, so I don't know that I necessarily want to bet against them either. I think if I had to play this one, I'd look for that 9 flat and go under, because, I talked about the Rangers bullpen. Even though they don't really have the big time leverage guys that are like, the 8th, 9th inning guys, the bullpen as a whole has been very strong this year for the Rangers, and pitching has been very strong. So you get one of Corbin's good days where he goes 5-6, gives up 2 or 3. The Rangers will be in this game, but more importantly, I think you'll have yourself a pretty good chance to hit an under 9. So I'll look to under 9 there. All right, I'm going to
before he has to go.
Yeah, I mean, we started late, so we're still going to give you the full hour. We've got about 17 minutes left, so I think probably 2 more games. Brian, do you want to propose a game to talk about here that you're looking at?
Go ahead. I want to take a look at this Boston-Baltimore game. Current line right here, we've got Giolito going for Boston. Kyle Bradish finally back for Baltimore. Let's hope he doesn't get hurt again before the season ends, because when he's pitching, he's been excellent. But we've got basically it's a pick'em situation right now. And I think Baltimore should probably be favored because of the pitcher with Bradish. I really like him, but it is his first start coming off of the IL. That's always a concern. But we're looking at what I'm going to use here for my parlay is the first half of this game, because I wanted the matchup of Bradish against Giolito. Giolito on the season coming in, he has a 3.72 ERA and a 1.27 whip. Whip's a little high, but the ERA looks good until you look at his expected ERA, 5.21, 1.5 runs higher than what his expected ERA is. And keep in mind, or his ERA is, and keep in mind, last year he didn't pitch, but in the last 2 years prior to that, 4.88 ERA, 4.90 ERA, and that was with 184 and 161 innings pitched. Giolito's not a guy I'm looking to back. His extension is good at 76 percentile, but everything else is in blue on the StatCast page, especially weak in certain areas. The whiff rate's not good, 27th percentile, barrel rate 25th, ground ball 26, so he gives up fly balls. And this is a park now that Baltimore has brought the fences in a little bit. I think he's going to struggle here. And Kyle Bradish, last 2 years, in 2023, he pitched 168 innings, had a 2.83 ERA, 1.04 whip. Last year, in only 39 innings because of injury, 2.75 ERA, 1.07 WHIP. This is a guy that is the ace of this Baltimore staff. If he is pitching Gunnar Henderson when he comes back next year, he's going to be very good as well. But this guy, Kyle Bradish, when he's healthy, he's been very good. And we'll have to see how it works out for this one. But I want no part of Giolito. The reason I'm making it a first 5 is because the Baltimore bullpen is in shambles right now. And the Boston bullpen is looking pretty good. So let's just make it the first 5. Let's play Baltimore first 5 minus 110 with Bradish over Giolito.
Okay. I'll be straight up with you guys. I have zero read on this game because Giolito's numbers are just all over the place. I got him ranked below average on his expected and current form, but his last few starts, he's been pretty good. But the thing is, he's all over the place. I mean, he gives up 1, then he gives up 4, then he gives up 1 again, then he gives up 3. I mean, I don't know what to expect from him. And with Bradish making his first start, I really don't know what to expect from him either. The main thing I can contribute to actionable information here would be to agree with Brian that Boston's bullpen is really solid right now, and the Orioles bullpen is not. Both teams are hitting pretty mediocre at the moment. That's really the only input I can give on this one.
Yeah, I was just checking. It looks like the Orioles are taking some money right now, and I agree with that. They may get my money as well. This is one I kind of had circled as if 3 or 4 games today that I might get to the window with. I would say as the show goes on and the morning goes on, I'm starting to get more confident in this one. And then of course, Brian, I love that you brought it up and that you seem to like the Orioles because that's the way I was looking as well. Talk about Kyle Bradish for a minute. He's been so when guys are out for like a long period of time, typically they get a long rehab in the minors, right? And that's so Bradish missed the entire first half of the season. So his rehab has actually gone on for 6 weeks at this point or more. Like he made his first competitive outing on July 24th at high A. And so what I've noticed trying to evaluate guys that have these long rehabs at the minors, you can kind of tell when it goes, there's typically a shift when it's like, hey, just go throw the ball over the plate, throw some strikes. Don't worry about trying to get batters out. Just literally go throw strikes and we'll see what happens. To, all right, we're getting closer. Like now go like see if you can get outs and we'll have a competitive outing. And so for him, I would say that was the last 2 were almost like what I'll call the dress rehearsal type starts for him. Against Jacksonville, he was very, very good. 5 scoreless, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. I watched the Charlotte game last week. Thought he threw it fine, 4 2/3. He did give up a couple of hits, a couple of runs. Still had 3 strikeouts. The command was pretty good. So this is a scenario where I think I'm okay backing him here. Just because it's not like where I don't like betting guys off of rehab or off of minor league appearances is when like they were hurt mid-season, they come back, they make like 1 start at AAA, and it's like, yeah, throw me back out there. That tends to be a little bit shaky. This is like he had a spring probably when his spring was probably most of July. Then he's had 6 starts at the minors. Like this is almost like opening day for Bradish. So I feel like I'm treating him more like what I would expect out of him on opening day. So I'm fine with backing him. As far as Giolito's concerned, I think I've said it on the show a couple of times. I mean, the fact that he's been able to do what he's done since about June 1st has been very impressive. That being said, I think we're starting to see like the come down a little bit. Like he had that unreal run into the All-Star break, and he's still been okay, but he hasn't been quite as sharp. And then if you go back to the beginning of the season, that was the bad Giolito that could get blown up. I still think that guy is in there somewhere, especially against the the Orioles, who I'll say this, I think I've said this probably 5 times in the past week. Where you want to bet the Orioles when they're A, at home, and when they're B, up against a right-handed pitcher. They hit righties better and they hit better at home. And you're kind of getting that combination here. So Brian, I do trust Bradish, and I think I'm okay with the Orioles bullpen and the way it's set up to go full game. I'm not saying that you're not right to target first 5 as well, but I do like the Orioles here, and that may be a client bet for me. Were you putting this in the parlay right here?
This will be my parlay, and yeah, it's a situation where I just think the Baltimore kept him down because they've been out of the playoffs for such a long time. They had that ability. There was no need to rush him.
Yeah.
But now they want to see what he can do. He's give him a couple of months here, and hopefully he stays healthy, and then they'll slide in as a 1 or 2 next year for the Orioles.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, I mean, six starts at the minor league level, plus he likely had a spring in July and into the All-Star break. Like, they've given him more than enough time. I think you're going to get like a pretty standard start from him here. Brian, what's the odds on that first 5 bet?
-110.
All right. So we've got 2 legs of the parlay locked in so far. Tokyo Brandon, have we talked about your leg, or do you want to throw a game out there for us to
We have not, but it's not worth covering because I'm going to cheat and take the Astros.
That's all right. It is absolutely worth covering. Hey, we're going to cover this game. We're going to cover this game because pretty much any time we've brought up the Rockies as like a massive dog, I feel like we've given out pretty solid intel. I think we do, particularly like, even if you go back, there was a series where earlier this year where they played, I think was the Phillies, and we hit like every game, and we were like,
yep,
just bet the over. Like, and I think Phillies, and like you could have laddered it and it would have won. Last week, I thought we did a great job breaking that Rockies Dodgers series down. So let's give it the full rub right here. We'll go to Brian Leonard. This is Rockies on the road at Houston tonight. If I remember correctly, these 2 teams actually played in Denver earlier this year. And for the most part, the Astros racked up a whole bunch of hits in that series. I think they may have lost one of the games, but if I remember off of memory, they had no problem hitting Rockies pitching. And, they're going to probably hit Tanner Gordon, who I think sort of Houdini hit like an unbelievable start last time. Like, I think he threw a pretty good start against the Dodgers, something you're not going to see very often from Tanner Gordon at the big league level. So Hunter Brown, Tanner Gordon, any way to go in this one other than try to find a way to play the Astros here, Brian?
I don't get involved with games this high. It's currently at 340. The total is 8 to slightly to the under here. The Road Rockies, what are they now? 16-49 on the season. So they lose 3 out of 4 on the road, which would be there may still be value on Houston because of that. The problem is Houston offense. If you take a look at WRC Plus over the last 14 days, they're 62. That is my only concern, is they're not hitting right now. I did started coming out of it for the last few days, but I won't get there, but I will root for it. Hopefully it does better than our $2 favorite we had yesterday. But
that was unbelievable.
Yeah, we didn't have much luck at the end of that one. But let's go with it. I have nothing to add.
Before everyone calls me, chicken turd for taking this, look, this is a 3-leg parlay and we haven't won one in a while. So I am going to cheat and take this. I know it's -340, blah, blah. Go ahead. Money's money. I want to win the parlay.
Is it really up to that? Is that really what it is, Brian? Will you have a money line there?
Oh, yeah. The best number out there is 324 at circa. But you're laying, DraftKings FanDuel, you're laying 360 or whatever. So, 340 is basically it.
Sorry, but we need to win one of these.
Tokyo Brandon, talk to me about the team total. Astros team total. I know they're home, and you got to assume you're going to have to do it in 8 at bats. 4.5 on the team total seems a little bit low to me, even in that -135 juice. I almost think you could bet that. What do you think?
Yeah, you could. And the reason I like this is because, Gordon, his last 2 starts, he's only given up 4 earned runs in his last 2 starts, but those were at home. On the road, in his last 2 starts, he's given up 16 earned runs in his last 2, 8 earned runs per game in his last 2 on the road. That's bad. His road ERA is 13. And, granted, it's a small sample size of 12 innings, but I think the Astros bats will wake up here, and Colorado's just a terrible road team. Look, Hunter Brown has been in my top 10 pitching or top 20 pitching ranking all season long. He's a solid pitcher. And I don't think, although I actually do like the scrappiness of the Colorado Rockies, and they do have some good young players and some good veterans like Moniak, but I just think, bullpen, hitting, pitcher, I just think the Astros are too much, and Rockies just don't win on the road. So Astros it is. Yes, I'm a chicken.
I would like, if you don't, obviously it's fine for the parlay. I don't think anyone's going to bet a $3 favorite straight up, but I don't dislike the thought that maybe this is where the Astros break out a little bit. Tanner Gordon, I've talked about a couple of times this year, near the bottom of my rankings for AAA. So the fact that he is sort of, the fact that he has done what he's done in his last couple starts, I suppose it's impressive. The start against the Dodgers, I think, if I remember correctly, he drew the Dodgers in a spot where they couldn't have been less interested to be playing a baseball game. I think they got blown out in that game, and he kind of coasted 1 run on 6 innings, 1 run, 4 hits. That was a very unfocused Dodgers team in that game. I'm not going to take away, it's still not easy to do, but the Astros, I do think, are going to be far more focused than LA was in that game. And, what better for an offense that has been struggling, what better chance to take advantage of, to try to maybe run it up a little bit and get your mojo back than the Rockies, right? And Tanner Gordon, if they can get to him early and they can put a crooked number up there early, they're going to have no problem getting to 5 runs in this game. Not my usual style, but I really think there's going to be some offense for Houston here. Sorry, Brian, were you going to add something there?
Yeah, I've got to run. We've got off to a late start here today. So can we go over the price of the parlay before I run out?
Yep, that is we are at the hour mark, so we are going to wrap it up. 3-teamer today. We have we have a first 5 and 2 full games. Tokyo Brandon's going with the Astros. We have the Padres for me. What's the number on the Padres? Is that plus money now?
Baltimore's minus 110 first half.
All right, so we have, and that minus 110 is a first 5 bet. So we have Orioles for Brian Leonard, first 5 minus 110. I'll be on the Padres money line. Tokyo Brandon on the Astros, and that 3-teamer is plus 394. So Orioles first 5, Padres money line, Astros money line. It's a 3-teamer plus 394. We will hopefully be back live tomorrow morning at the usual time, 9 a.m. Eastern. Sorry about the technical difficulties today. Appreciate you tuning in on demand. $5 Tuesday at Wager Talk. Everyone's got to play up for $5, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.
Welcome to the best betting show ever. I'm Lawrence Presman, Joe Ranieri, and Art DeCesar joining us. And yes, you heard it right. This is the best betting show ever. It is the name of our new show. The 3 of us will be on every single day, Monday to Friday. The show starts on September 1st. But until then, we've got 2 shows lined up. We've got our NFL preview. It's already up on WagerTalk TV. And this is our college football preview show. Hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel. And Art DeCesar from the Westgate, tell us, my friend, why do you not like Iowa? Are you just against potatoes? Wait, that might be Idaho. Are you against chips? No, that's potatoes. What's your problem with Iowa?
I believe they do corn in
Thank
Iowa.
you.
Corn!
Yeah.
I love corn. I'm a corn guy. I'm not against corn.
Cornbread I hate. I am not a cornbread guy, but I do like me some corn.
Yeah, corn on the cob is great. I just look at their schedule, and obviously the Big Ten is, them and the SEC are the best two conferences. But you just look at their schedule. Week 2, that rivalry game, and I know rivalry games are always tough, but they have to go to Ames, Iowa, and play a good Iowa State team. They get really tough games. They are at home, but they have Indiana, they have Penn State, they have Oregon, all at home. But those teams are all better than Iowa. Now, the 7.5s out there, you got to pay juice, -150, -160. But I feel good about this team going 7-5, 6-6. To me, it's an easy under 7.5.
Art, I'll stay with you quick before we go to Joe. This Iowa team over the years have been, well, a sleeping pill, if you will. And then last year, we saw them wake up. What kind of team are they going to roll out this year? Is this going to be an under team like the past, or are we going to see them score?
I mean, their offense can obviously only go up because it's been so bad these last handful of years. Listen, Iowa's always going to play grind-out games. They're going to have good offensive linemen, good interior play, and that's how the Big Ten plays anyway, and that's how they like to play. But to me, to think that this team is going to get to 8 wins with that schedule just does not seem possible.
And Joe, you agree?
It's all about what their quarterback does. I mean, the problem for them is that they haven't been able to throw the ball over the last couple of seasons. But they've had to win on defense, special teams, and running the ball. They got this kid Gronowski this year who's coming from the FCS level. He's like 30. So at least he's played some football and has got some experience. So to me, I'm with you on it. All depends on whether or not they have any success throwing the ball. If they don't, they're going to have to keep doing it with special teams and defense, because that's the only way they can win games. And they always seem to win just enough games to cash that over ticket. We'll see this year.
Art, let's turn our attention to Utah. You like them. You're high on them this year. You think they're going to go over in their wins.
I do. Now, it's a big number, 8.5. If you can find an 8 out there, it's better. Now, the 8.5, you are going to get plus money on the juice. I love the coach. Their quarterback situation has been so bad the last couple of years with Cam Rising in and out. The guy played 1,000,000 years. They might have the best offensive line in all of college football. 2 of their guys are projected first-round picks. They get Texas Tech at home. They get Arizona State at home. They get Kansas State at home. They get a lot of their tougher games at home. And I don't hate, because the Big 12 is kind of like a 3 or 4 horse race, plus 650 on them to win the Big 12. I don't hate that as a little sprinkle as well.
Joe?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue with. I mean, it's one of the best coaches in the country. They have a home field advantage, Art, like none other. I think there's going to be a changing of the guard in the Big 12, and we saw it last year. I think we're going to start to see it again this year. Utah didn't have their quarterback last year, but they're no shortage of recruits, so I'm with you here. The sky is the limit for Utah. We all thought they were going to win it last year, and they just couldn't get healthy. I think this year could very well be the year to go ahead and back them.
You guys are watching the best betting show ever. Joe Ranieri, you can find him on Sports Grid regularly. You can find me over at WagerTalk. Art the Caesar, you can find at the Westgate Sportsbook. And that's part of why we're doing the show, really, guys. You're going to be able to watch the show Monday to Friday. September 1st will be our first show that isn't a preview show. And basically, Joe and I are professional bettors. We try to beat the book. And Art the Caesar is the book. So he's going to be providing us with daily information on where all the bets are. And I forgot to ask you that in the NFL preview show, Art. But in the college football preview show, I will remember to ask you. So I will stop right now and ask you, what type of bets is the Westgate taking future-wise in college football?
So a couple of teams we could just hit on for their over-under wins. People are very high on Clemson, taking them over 10. There are some 10.5s out there. We haven't gotten there yet. We've just juiced the 10 from flat to -130 on the over. A team in the Big 12 who, obviously, I'm a little anti because I'm pro-Utah, is Texas Tech. They're taking their over wins over 8.5. It was -140. Now we're 9 flat. And they're big on the Air Force under. 6.5, taking that as an under. And let me just throw this out here. This is another Big 12 team. Arizona State, if they were to somehow win the national championship, as we currently speak, we would get murdered on that. We have taken like multiple 4-5-figure bets on Arizona State to win the national championship.
Wow. There
Yeah.
we go. You're going to hear that information every single day when the show starts on Monday, September 1st. Art's going to come on and tell us exactly where all the money is being laid. He's also going to tell us bets that he personally likes and, some real big syndicates out there and what they're playing. So there's a little sneak preview. Art, let's move our attention to winning the MAC. This division gets a lot of play as we see a lot of weekday games. You like Toledo here.
Ooh.
I do, and they are the favorites, and they're favorites for a reason. Plus 110 all the way up to plus 130. So you're not getting a nice juicy price on it, but the coach is good. The quarterback's back. This is a team who I believe won the MAC 2 years ago. They're kind of back to what they need to be. I like it. I'm not saying it's, the greatest value out there because it's such a low number, but I think it's low for a reason, and it's come down. Like I said, it's as low as plus 110 in some places. It was as high as plus 160, plus 165 when we opened it. We're at 130 now, so we've seen some pretty good action and sharp action come on it as well, and it makes me feel like that's a team I want to back in the MAC because I love that conference.
Joe?
Art, and I like that because it's realistic, but I keep looking at this Buffalo team returning, 9-10 starters on defense, and you need to play defense in order to win some games in the MAC here, and it feels like I'm going to be interested to see how they do. They're not much more expensive, right? I think they're plus 4-1, plus 5-1 right now, but it's... The chalk could very well be there, but Buffalo's the team I'm most worried about in the MAC.
Yeah, I could see that. And listen, it's funny. They don't even play each other.
I know.
Buffalo and Toledo.
Yep.
So, it is one of those things. But, no, I mean, when you look at the MAC, there is always like a kind of 3 or 4 team race. And like you said, Buffalo's definitely in the mix there. I just look at them. It almost reminds me of Clemson, who's an overwhelming favorite in the ACC. Yep. I think they're a favorite like that for a reason.
Didn't think we'd be on a show so soon talking about how Buffalo can win anything.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Maybe in 5 years we can mention the Sabres. Joe Ranieri with us, everyone. You can hear him on Sports Grid every day, right? You're doing the morning show on Sports Grid?
Listen, just remember, Prez, I know it's hard for you guys up north there, but the Cup lives in Florida. Just remember that, especially South Florida. So it won't be going anywhere near Buffalo or Toronto anytime soon. But yes, the Sports Grid Network, the early line, weekdays 8 to 11 in the morning. Can't miss it there, Prez. We're there every Monday through Friday.
There you go. Art, I'm not taking the bait. I'm not going to discuss his stupid Florida Panthers, blah, 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 blah. The Cup remains in Florida. I bet you the Cup's in Toronto today, but that's a whole different story. I guarantee you it ain't in frickin' Florida. Anyway, Art the Caesar, your last future bet of the college football preview show. You think Michigan will make the extended playoffs? Tell us why.
Best front seven in the country. I think if they get anything out of Underwood, who's this dynamic top quarterback recruit, and I also look at it too, the committee always wants to put name brand teams in, and Michigan's obviously one of those. You look at the schedule, outside of week 2 when they have to go to Oklahoma, they don't have to play Oregon. They don't have to play Penn State. And they get Ohio State at home, and they beat Ohio State last year. The schedule sets up really nice for them. I believe Michigan, even with 2 losses, and I don't even know if I see 2 losses with Michigan, could make it. It feels like a team who might only lose 1 game. I like Michigan as low as plus 180, as high as like plus 220, plus 230. To make the playoff. If you can get in that 2-1 range, I feel good about Michigan making the playoff.
Mr. Ranieri?
Well, they certainly have the videotape to make sure they have a leg up on everybody. So it'll be very interesting to see how that works out there, Art. But we all know it's going to come down to one thing, isn't it? It's going to come down to, I think they play in November, right? Can they keep it rolling against you-know-who and roll right into the postseason and the playoffs with an opportunity to win? Not a shortage of talent, but they can't lose games they're supposed to win early on in this season. And then they got Ohio State. Can they roll through them? Well, they've had no problem doing it. What, the last 1, 2, 3, 4 times they've played? So, sure, why not? Michigan to the playoffs.
There we go. Joe Ranieri, what are your college football bets?
Well, Prez, I got to tell you, I think Art nailed it there, and with good reason as to why it is that we are getting so much Clemson love in the marketplace. And it has everything to do with, this is exactly the kind of team that Dabo Swinney has won national championships with prior. We're talking about Cade Klubnik, a starting quarterback. Feels like he's been in college forever. Yeah. But he comes back with a whole lot of weapons, not only running the ball, but of course on the outside. The offensive line is one of the best. It rates as one of the best in the country here. And listen, the problem for them last year was their defense. They uncharacteristically gave up a ton of yards last year and a ton of points. They addressed all of that. I think Garrett Riley now in his second full season is the OC. I think they're going to put up a ton of points on a lot of teams. The ACC, they don't have to play Miami, but they're going to roll through everybody else. I think Clemson not only wins the ACC, but has a pretty good chance of winning a national championship as well.
Art, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Clemson was a team who was in there last year. We know they always get players. Klubnik is huge for us in the Heisman. I think we've taken, he's like second or third most bet on player for us in the Heisman market. Obviously, Arch is number one. Klubnik's in the top 3. Their schedule sets up real nice. They get SMU at home. Yep. Now they have to go at South Carolina at the end of the year, which obviously is always a tough game. But by that point, they might already be in there. And they get LSU in the opening week, which is a top 10 team. But I think they're way better than LSU. Clemson, to me, is a team who will make the playoff, and they'll win the ACC. And if you could still get the 10 out there, like I said, we're offering 10, but with high juice, it feels like they're going to go over that as well.
It will be exciting to watch Arch. I don't understand what happened to the I and the E. Maybe the pen just ran out when they were naming him. But hey, Cooper has something going. A kid that might make the NFL one day. Joe Ranieri, Clemson to win it all. Clemson to win the division. Any other future bets for us?
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on what happens with OU this year. This is kind of a make or break year for them and their former Clemson defensive coordinator turned head coach there. Listen, they had no quarterback last year. They've had some issues, but they addressed them. They went out and got John Meter from Washington State. The kid is absolutely a whole lot of fun to watch play. He throws the ball all over the place. They brought in a new OC to air it out. They brought in Cal running back Jaden Ott, who's run over everybody over the last 3 years here. Defense is going to be good, but the schedule is virtually impossible. I mean, OU has got a ridiculous schedule this year, but I think they're going to go over their win total. I saw it at 6.5 earlier, Art. I'm not sure if it's climbed up at all. But, I mean, they have 3 true road games. South Carolina, very winnable. Tennessee is taking a step back, very winnable. I'm not buying Alabama. I think they could. I think this is the year he saves his job, and I think this is the year that we can get 8-9 wins out of OU.
You there?
It's a low win total. I mean, I could see where you're at. Now, the tough one is that meat of the October. At Texas, at South Carolina, Ole Miss at home, at Tennessee. I mean, that's a brutal stretch. And they still have to go to at Alabama. They get my Michigan team at home. And they end with LSU, man. That is a tough schedule. But I think you hit on it with the quarterback meter, and they can only go up from here with a low win total like that. They could get to 7 wins.
If you guys like what you're hearing, take a second out of your day. Click that like button, please. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and put down in your calendar the show will start Monday, September 1st. That's Monday, September 1st. This is the college football betting preview version. The NFL preview show is already up. Joe Ranieri, you like OU, you like Clemson. Is there anything else we need to know about?
Yeah, fade Miami at every chance you get, including against Notre Dame in game 1. They are going to be a train wreck with Beck once again and that head coach. So I'm with you. Miami, total fade in the ACC.
That team was just about to get it together, Art. We saw them do really well a few decades ago. Then they disappeared. And then last year and the year before, it looked like they were on the upswing. Now, Joe's saying, nope, they're going to be like the Florida Panthers, a team on decline.
Oh.
What do you think?
Well, I'll say this. Week 1, Notre Dame. I love Notre Dame in that game. They have to go to SMU. Now, speaking of Beck, who I never loved at Georgia, that's another kid who we've taken a lot of love in the Heisman betting market. He's in like the top 5, top 6 most bet on guys. So I'm not in love with the coach. Now, the ACC is not great, but I could see just week in and week out maybe looking for spots to fade the U.
Okay, guys, my turn. I got 3 quick bets for you, 2 quick bets for you in college football. The first one is the Florida Gators under 7.5 wins. And look, let me bottom line this for you. DJ Lagway's got a rocket. Hell of a quarterback, 12 TDs, 9 picks as a freshman. I think he's going to do better this year. But I think the team is going to regress. I think we're going to see a regression from their running backs, 14 touchdowns last year. Their O-line, legitimately one of the best, but I still don't think good enough. Defense, they have a solid profile, but they have a lot of problems, especially on the inside. They also have an incredibly tough schedule, an unbelievable division. Joe Ranieri, I like them under 7.5 wins, which is a shame because now we've already spoken about Miami sucking. I think Florida is going to go under. I think college football is better when the Florida schools are playing better, but it is what it is.
Yeah, the schedule to me is, I'm with you, Prez. The schedule to me is absolutely brutal. And I love Billy Napier. I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he has done with very little over the last couple of years. But, I mean, Art, this schedule is brutal to think they're going to make it to 9 wins again this year. And I love Lagway, but my goodness, this is going to be a rough go-through for them.
Yeah.
I love Lagway as well, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, Art, go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with both of you. I love Lagway. I made a comment to someone like 2 weeks ago. If Napier in Florida can win 8 or 9 games, and that would be 3 or 4 losses, he should be coach of the year in the nation, and they should make the playoff.
Yep.
That's how hard that schedule is.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're all on the same page on the under. I really like the over for the Duke Blue Devils, 6.5. And I know it's juiced. I get that. But I think there's a lot of value here, Joe. Look, we saw Mike Elko leave. Did not make any difference. Manny Diaz shows up. They go 9-3. Now they just got the Tulane transfer, Mensah. He played great last year. 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I don't think this Blue Devils team misses a beat. I think they have a favorable schedule. They get Elon. They get UConn, Virginia. They get Wake. They have coin flips with Illinois, NC State, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Cal, Tulane, and UNC. I think we can get to 7. I think there's a shot at 8. I like the Blue Devils, Art, over the total of 6.5 wins.
I don't hate it because you just named 3 or 4 games that feel like slam dunks for them.
Yeah.
So then out of those coin flip games, if you just get 3 of them, you're there. I don't hate it, Prez.
Joe?
All about the schedule. I'm with you. Manny Diaz will have that team very good set up defensively. They're going to be able to run the ball. That schedule favors them big time. I think that number's way too low, Prez. Way too low.
And Joe and Art, this is a team I've been looking to bet over in the last few years.
Yes.
Joe, do you think that trend continues?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, it's all about the scheduling with them. I mean, they're not going to wow you with all their athletes, their college football players. But as long as they're not beating themselves, Manny Diaz, pretty good coach. Say what you want, even though we don't, miss him here in Miami very much. But listen, he's going to have the defense ready to go. If you can't beat Elon, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Maybe Manny's not as good a coach as we think he is.
There we go. That's the show, everyone. The NFL preview show is up. You can watch it at WagerTalk TV. The college football preview show is just been finished. Hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel. And guys, remember, Monday, September 1st, the first show of the best betting show ever. It will always be me, Joe Ranieri, and Art DeCesar. We're going to be discussing sports bets for that day. We're going to be discussing college football and NFL. We're going to be talking about pop culture. We're going to be doing movie reviews to Joe and Art's dismay. We're going to be discussing every single day, where is all the money being bet? What does the Westgate need to win? What are they hoping will lose? Make sure to tune in. This will be must-watch television starting Monday, September 1st. Joe and Art, thank you for doing this. Guys, kick ass in baseball. Enjoy week 0 in college football and a couple of more weeks before we get into the NFL. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you September 1st, Monday.
Hi, I'm Ross Benjamin of WagerTalk.com. I'm a sports betting veteran of 23 years in this industry. My history goes beyond that, but publicly, 23 years, and you're watching Behind the Bettor segment for yours truly. A lot of people ask me, what's your first memory of sports betting? And my answer to that is, I was around 7 years old. My dad used to bet on sports a lot. And he came home with what a lot of people out there term as parlay cards. We used to call them parlay sheets. And I've been watching football with him since 6 years old, had a unusual interest at that age. And I filled out a 3-teamer for $1 and I won $5. I thought it was going to be easy, but as we know, there's a lot of struggles that come along the way other than that. My other funniest moment I've ever experienced when it comes to sports betting topic is sitting with my uncle and my father, 11, 12 years old, and these guys used to love betting NFL games over. So we're watching the game. They need a touchdown with less than 2 minutes to go to put the game over. A pass goes into the end zone. The wide receiver gets smacked by the defensive back well before the pass arrives, and my uncle jumps off the couch and throws a handkerchief in the air. My mother came in and says, "What kind of impression are you going to leave with this kid?" And the impression is, Mom, I became a sports betting professional for the last 25 years. So what was your first job in the sports betting industry? I worked for a prominent sports betting expert that I can't mention the name because it's a competitor of WagerTalk, but I worked under his wing. He taught me a lot about the business, the do's and the don'ts, how to treat clients and how not to, the dirty side of the business. He also taught me a lot about the technical handicapping aspect and learning algorithms in the sports betting industry. What's the best gambling moment ever? Or movie ever, I'm sorry. The best gambling movie ever that I enjoyed the most was Casino because it was realistic. And Lefty Rosenthal, who was portrayed in that movie, was a fabulous sports bettor. And that movie really intrigued me. The whole storyline with the mob in Vegas and Lefty Rosenthal's story. So that was my favorite sports betting movie of all time, or gambling movie of all time. What's the best sporting event you ever attended? Well, this is twofold. I attended the Yankees and Phillies World Series game I believe it was 2008, 2009 in that area. Also, I attended 2 Stanley Cup final games with my beloved Buffalo Sabres and the Dallas Stars. And for those of you who are hockey aficionados, will recall that that's the Brett Hall goal that won the Stanley Cup with his toe in the crease. And at that time, that was a very controversial call. Other than sports betting, what's your favorite way to gamble? I love to play blackjack when I'm in Vegas. I love to play blackjack when I'm in the local casinos in Western New York. If you could only bet one sport for the rest of your life, what would it be? Just the major sports, NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, Major League Baseball. It's hard for me to pick one. A lot of people ask me what am I the best at? And my answer usually is I'm good at everything. Some years in specific sports are better than others. But if you put the proverbial gun to my head, I would say the NFL is my favorite to bet on. What's the biggest mistake you see sports bettors making today? Parlays have become a big thing when I look at gambling forums. Some of the comments I see on my YouTube videos on WagerTalk TV. And folks, I am against parlays 100%. So that's one of the big mistakes. The other major mistake is a lack of discipline when it comes to money management. You need to have a money management plan, know what your sports gambling bankroll is. When I say sports gambling bankroll, I'm not talking about your kids' tuition. I'm not talking about the household bills you're using that money. I'm talking about on the worst case scenario, if you were to lose every dime, would the quality of your life change? So bankroll management and staying away from parlays, folks, and stay away from big money line favorites as well. Is there a specific NFL season that comes to mind as the best? If so, when was it? Well, on a personal note, the 1990 NFL season was my favorite because my beloved Buffalo Bills got to the Super Bowl for the first time. And yes, they lost. And yes, they got to the Super Bowl the ensuing 3 years, and they lost each time. But that's my best memory in terms of an NFL season from just a fan perspective. Best advice for sports bettors. Start slow. Listen to as many veteran handicappers as you possibly can. And I'm talking credible handicappers, and we have a plethora of them over at WagerTalk.com. And especially watch the videos on WagerTalk TV. You'll learn little things as you go along to pick up on. And folks, the guys at WagerTalk TV, we've been doing this for a long time. There's a reason why we're on WagerTalk.com, and there's plenty to be learned. And then you could incorporate that into your way that you would like to handicap. College football Saturdays or NFL Sundays? Tough question. College football has been very good to me. Number 1 in college football at WagerTalk last year. Number 2 2 years ago. The last 2 years college football. Number 1 in units earned. So I like college football in terms of there's so many games on the board on a Saturday. For somebody with the skill set that I have, it's a lot easier to identify sports betting value in those situations. But make no mistake, I love betting on the NFL a lot more than college football, and I've had success. It's just more recent success has come in college football. Do you remember a day that was the most profitable for you in sports betting? If so, what was it? Another funny story, back in the early 90s, I went to a place called Finger Lakes Racetrack in Canandaigua, New York. I'm from Western New York, by the way. And I hit a trifecta on that day, a $2 trifecta for $5,800. Was that my biggest sports day? No, but it was my biggest thrill because I knew nothing about sports betting, or horse race betting, I should say, at that time. And for a $2 investment to make $5,800, I was absolutely elated. Do you remember your first sports bet you ever made? And if so, what was it? I think I alluded to this earlier when it came to my beginnings. And my dad handed me that sports parlay sheet or betting sheet. and I hit a 3-teamer in the NFL. He put $1 on it for me. I won $5. What was your most memorable sports bet? This one's easy. 2008 Super Bowl. The New England Patriots were 18-0. They were a 12.5-point favorite against the New York Giants. I had the Giants, and people were all over me saying there's no way, it's a sucker bet, blah, 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 but bing, bing, bing. Guess what? The New York Giants won the game outright, 17-14. And in my mind, other than Super Bowl when the Jets beat the Colts, biggest upset in Super Bowl history when considering the fact that New England was on the verge of becoming the first team to ever finish 19-0 in an NFL season. Until the next time, Ross Benjamin, WagerTalk.com. You can find me at WagerTalk TV on WT.buzz/Ross TV.
my friend.
Welcome to the best sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Lang. It is $5 Tuesday, and we are jam-packed. We are looking ahead to NFL Week 1. We got to try and get out ahead of these numbers. We're going to dive deep into college football. Again, we got to get out ahead of these numbers. We're going to take a look at the MLB slate today. So if we're trying to lock in the best numbers and win early, this is where you need to be. Gianni's recording with Contender Series, so I'll give you the Steam report. From what I can see, Ralph Michaels is going to join us. We're going to talk Boise State, USF. We're going to look at the Eagles and Cowboys, and then we're going to look at a chart involving Week 1 NFL underdogs. Brian Power is going to join us. We're going to talk Miami, Ohio versus Wisconsin. We're going to do Phillies and Mets. I'll do a recap, and I'll do the Dana White Contender Series, making a case for the underdogs for tonight's Contender Series. So thanks so much for joining us live. Hit the like button. Leave us a comment in the comment section, and make sure you are subscribed to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Football season is absolutely here. Make sure you're subscribed. Join the WagerTalk family. Get notified when all of these videos go live and when they're released. So it's $5 Tuesday, guys. You know that. It is the best value in all of sports betting. Every single capper has their top play up for just $5. Same best bets we're firing on for the price of a cup of coffee. I got my cup of coffee here. Stack them, mix them, try someone new, try your favorite handicap or whatever you do. Do not miss out. My $5 bet every Tuesday is Contender Series. We're fresh off a win last week. It is locked in, and so are dozens more. You take advantage of Ralph Michaels, take advantage of Brian Power, anybody you want, your favorite handicapper, or try somebody new. $5 Tuesday is live. All right, let's bring in Ralph Michaels. Let's talk Boise State, USF, Eagles, Cowboys, and the chart. Ralph, happy Tuesday, man. How are you?
Hey, I hope everyone celebrated the birthday yesterday. WagerTalk is now 11 years and 1 day old.
It's amazing. So, all right, Ralph, let's get to Boise State and USF. This is an interesting game. I mean, Boise pretty much has lost most of like 90% of their rushing yards from last year, Ashton Genty, but they are returning their quarterback. USF, they're replacing running backs and wide receivers with the transfer portal, but their coaching staff is still going to be a little bit consistent. We got Boise State, little movement here down to -6. I know this was at 1.7 and 6.5. The over-under is 63. What's your take on Boise State in South Florida?
Well, listen, even with the loss of Ashton Genty, who came up 27 yards short of Barry Sanders' all-time single-season rushing record, the Broncos are still one of 11 teams in the FBS to have their entire full-time coaching staff back. That is a lot of continuity. Now, missing Genty is going to be a big deal, but this offensive line is not only the best in the Mountain West, it's one of the top O-lines in the country. 4 returning starters are back, including an All-American, and the one starter they have to replace is from a player who started 13 games 2 years ago, only started 3 games last year, and got injured. To me, that is basically returning your entire offensive line. Again, now you have to understand that Maddox Madsen's numbers likely are going to go down a bit. When you have a guy that's rushing for that much, when you run the play action, there's a lot of open receivers. That's going to be the toughest thing for them to focus. I do say they have a solid running back, and with this O-line, I have no question he is still going to top 1,000 yards. So not quite the drop-off that you would expect. But I look at USF, and this is a team I like very much so. You look at Alex Golesh. He took over a team that had, I think, 7 wins out of 40 prior to him taking. No, they were 4-29 going back for the last 3 years. But getting them to 7-6 back-to-back years has been a step. This year, they have solid returning people, including a quarterback. Now remember, their quarterback, who 2 years ago threw for 2,300 yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and rushed for 800 yards, was injured after a couple of starts last year. I think there's going to be positivity there. 2 years ago, he also had 38 sacks. The O-line much improved this season. Now, I did go to the database, and it does tell us that in Game 1 in college football, if it's an FBS versus FBS team, home dogs since 2014 are 58-36, 61%. A very positive number there. And then you look at Boise. This is a 5:30 start. They moved it to 5:30 to kick off the college football season on 30 couple hours early. Boise's making that trip from Boise, Idaho, to Tampa, Florida, where it's going to be 90 plus degrees, 80 plus humidity, and it's going to feel like 115 degrees. That's a tough situation for a team wearing dark blue jerseys on the road in Florida in August. USF is a team I have on the rise up this year. I feel comfortable taking the 6 points in this game. The underdog, my best bet, first best bet in college football.
All right, I like this. So, Ralph, talk to us about what the handicapping is like these days now. I mean, you're going into the season. This is completely different than what it was 10 years ago. Heck, even 5 years ago. How are you doing this research, trying to figure out this transfer portal and NIL? Or is this just, we're taking it one step at a time because it is so new?
No, Andy, great point. And I think the biggest difference is my power ratings. You know, I come back from old school, working for Phil Steele and North Coast Sports and Power Sweep and with Mark Lawrence and the GoldSheet. And I have learned to do a very good set of power ratings. 3 or 4 years ago, Andy, I would use my power ratings week 1 religiously. Well, now I throw those power ratings out the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. I still do them. I still update them. But until I actually get to see these teams play or study them enough, I don't use those power ratings. So it's much more important to look at NIL, the transfer kids in the upper conferences, because they have many more transfer than the lower conferences. The lower conferences only lose people. They're going to get very few upgrades in positions because very few players transfer down. So it's just a different way we handicap. I look at form. I look at returning units. I look at those that do have cohesiveness. But again, throw out the power ratings the first few weeks. At least in my book, I do. But to me, I'm conservative week 1, and I'll continue to get more involved with deeper cards as the season progresses through the first few weeks.
Let's move to NFL. Let's take a look at week 1. I know you got a chart coming up, but let's talk about this. How about them Cowboys? Have you watched the Cowboys doc, by the way, on Netflix? Have you watched it?
I have not. I think I watched the first year it was out. I watched it, but I don't like watching those things because it affects you so much the way you handicap. So I like not watching them. Put the blinders on and just go on. But in this game, Andy, you look at what these teams did last year, and you think this line should be probably higher. Super Bowl champs. Let me run down these rankings. Offense and defense. Yards per game, Dallas 17-28, Philly 8-1. Points per game, Dallas 21-31, Philly 5-1. Yards per play, Dallas 20-28, Philadelphia 11-1. That kind of team with a Philadelphia Eagles offense that's returning 10 of their starters, seems to me they should be favored by more than a touchdown. But let's hold on a second. I think Micah Parsons is probably Micah Parsons for the Dallas Cowboys in that run game is probably the most important defensive player in the NFL. And I think he's at least worth a point, maybe a point and a half. Philadelphia ran over the Dallas Cowboys last year. By the way, Philly has covered 5 of 6 in the series. And if Micah Parsons isn't there, that is a big concern for me. Philly, of course, outscored Dallas 75-13 the last 2 meetings last season. Now, those numbers are strong. Dallas is a train wreck. Dallas has a new head coach. And remember, Jerry Jones only hires new coaches that will do exactly what he tells them to do. So it's a very lame duck head coach in a situation. Heck, Brian Schottenheimer couldn't get hired as an OC anywhere, yet he gets a Dallas Cowboy head coaching job. Big concern to me. The thing that stops me from using Philly in this are some trends. We're going to talk about division. We're going to talk about week 1 dogs, but I want to bring this up as well. When division teams play each other in week 1, you're familiar with the stadiums. You stay in the same hotels. You haven't had any film on this year's changes. So if you just blindly bet, Andy, teams in week 1 that are in a division game with double revenge, 63.5%. If you look at road teams, division road teams with double revenge, 70%. And division road teams like the Cowboys, as a away dog of 4.5 or more, 21-5, 81%. So this is a situation where I've got a lot of great trends on Dallas, My eye test and numbers tell me Philly, so I'm going to lay off the side. What I am going to do is we talked about this Dallas defense. We've talked about this Philadelphia offense, and I think it's a very fair price at the Philadelphia Eagles team total over 27.5 as they get their Super Bowl rings next Thursday.
I'm a huge I'm a huge Eagles fan. I think they're always underrated. I can't think of a Super Bowl team that is talked about less than this team in terms of expectations. It's just like everyone's being like, they're going to regress. It starts with Jalen Hurts. I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan. Again, how many times are we going to count this guy out? All he does is win literally everywhere he goes. But hey, I'm going to follow the trends, and yeah, a touchdown is a lot. It's a lot. I don't.
You know, Andy?
Yeah.
Since 2004, there has not been a repeat winner of the NFC East.
I know. I can't wrap my head around that. They're so good. They're built for the regular season, playoffs. Whatever. Chat. They're underrated. You go look at power rankings. So they're not even the top 3 or 4. It's like this team beat everybody last year. All right, Ralph. It is $5 Tuesday. What do you have up for everyone?
I do have a $5 Nerf feed play loaded, and make sure you check out my Nerf feed plays every day on TikTok and YouTube TV. I do the free guide as well on my homepage, wt.buzz/RN.
All right, great stuff from Ralph Michaels. So the big takeaway, Ralph, is we got to look at these underdogs in week 1. That's kind of the
let's look at that chart, Andy, and let's show how much we have to look at those underdogs. This shocked the heck out of me, and there's a couple things I want to say here. I put out a lot of trends, I put out a lot of angles, but these trends and angles are probably only 20% of my handicapping. So don't fall in love because you see one number on one chart for one team. It still is only going to be, you got to look at situations, you got to look at matchups, you got to look at history, you got to look at, a group injury. So, but when you look at NFL Week 1 dogs, what impresses me about this chart is I went from 2009 on the left-hand side, since 2012 on the right-hand side, and you're consistent in all 4 categories, and it's been even better since 2012, since 2009. But take a look at the top line, Andy. If you blindly bet every Week 1 dog since 2009, you've cashed 54%, 55% since 2012. I talked about division dogs. If you blindly played every division dog in the NFL since 2009, 65%, 66% since 2012. Division home dogs, 24-7, 77%, 82% since 2012. And division home dogs of 1.5 or more, Andy, 79% and 85% going 17-3 since 2012. Wow. Basically, I'll say this. Friends don't let friends bet many Week 1 NFL division home dogs.
So when we look at this chart, you're not saying like blindly bet it. Well, maybe you're saying blindly bet. History tells us this, but it's more of just a tool in your toolbox to look at. Like if there is a division home dog that you like, that this is kind of one of your reasonings for it.
Well, you got to be number one. There's times I cherry pick numbers, right, to get a wow number in between. But you can see these are just basics. There is no cherry picking here. So when you have this type of sample size for this type of length, when I start looking at division dogs and division home dogs, I may not bet those teams blindly, but it'll be a hell of a long shot for me to bet against that trend. So you're not always having to bet trends, but remember, leaving a loser off versus putting a winner on is advantageous because you're saving that 10%. So if there's 2 games you wanted to use and they were both division favorites, away favorites, and you say I'm going to leave them both off the board and they split, you still saved yourself 10%. So you may not want to play them all, but be very careful playing against those solid trends of those percentages with that length of time.
Yeah, it's so important. What do we say? Sometimes the best bets you make are the ones you leave off the card. So if those charts, if it talks you out of a play that you're on the fence about, it's worth its weight in gold. So great stuff from Ralph Michaels here. So one more time, Ralph, $5 Tuesday. Tell us about it.
$5 Tuesday, but I do want to mention I do have a 5% up at WagerTalk for college football this Friday. My college football 5% went 4-0 last year. I finished number 2 in college football in the season behind Mr. Ross Benjamin And my NFL and college football regular season bets 17-2, 90%. Check it out, wt.buzz/RM.
All right, Ralph Michaels, thanks so much for joining us. Good stuff. Good stuff. Take a screenshot of that chart if it helps your handicapping in week 2. So, all right, let's do the Steam report. Literally right before we were going to go to the Steam report to start the show, my feed went out. I was joking. Gianni was just reminding us. He does the Steam report. We're just posers here. All right, let's take a look here at Thursday college football. See if we missed any key numbers here. NC State, looks like we missed that key number. If you haven't bet that one, it opened at -12. That's up to -14. Akron has taken some money. They were, Wyoming was -9.5. It's now down to -7. So if that dips below that touchdown, you could probably see some buyback. A lot of money has come in on Rutgers. They opened -10.5. They're all the way up to -15.5. So they've gone through that 13, 13.5, and 14. I even see a book at -16. And if we want to look ahead to Friday, if you guys want to try and get out of some of those moves, money is coming in on San Jose State. They opened -10.5. It's just a 1-point move, but you're seeing 11.5s pop up against Central Michigan. Money is coming on Charlotte. Appalachian State is down to -6.5. We went through that key number of 7. So we went from -8.5 down to -6. And the other big move is on Sam Houston State. They opened up at 13.5-point dogs. They're now down to 10.5. So if you like Sam Houston State, I would get on them before that thing moves to 10. And we have a 1-point move on Georgia Tech against Colorado, -3.5. That's now up to -4.5. I guess there's a big move in Michigan State, but it's a huge number. 17.5 they opened. It's now 20.5. So you want to lay the wood. You got to get those 3 touchdowns. So we can look at baseball here. Not a lot of movement that I see. When we go over baseball, it's just not a lot of bets have been made at this point. So only moves I really see. Some money's come in on St. Louis. Some money has come in on the Cubs, fading Verlander here, who I believe is 1-10 this year. Absolutely stunning for Verlander's 1-10. He hadn't pitched that bad. The Athletics of all teams are taking a little bit of money. I guess people don't like Morton here. Detroit opened -140. They're down to -125. And Houston opened at -340. One book now has them at -375. I would just say be careful laying -375 against this Colorado Rockies team that ends up winning like 1 out of 3 games and just crushes everyone's parlay. So be careful on that one. And then there's some movement on the over on the Seattle and San Diego game, 7.5. That's up to 8. I see an 8.5 popping up there as well. So those are your MLB Steam. If you want any WNBA, over in Phoenix and Los Angeles, over in Seattle and Indiana. I feel like every time we talk about Steam and WNBA, it's just like the overs, like 6-7 point moves. So, all right, Chris, let's go to all around the world. Let's give the people some free plays. I had some fun yesterday. We missed the Asia Wilson, but we hit that 3-1 over on the alt line on the Brewers game, and then we hit the soccer free play on Solid to have a point. So that was a good day for all around the world. All right, let's go to the Mercury and the Sparks. Rakia Jackson over 1.5 made threes. This is the best prop that is going in sports right now, and nobody knows about it. She's gone over in 8 games. The books have not moved this number. Her volume of shooting is way up. She's averaging 7 3-point attempts this month, and the shooting percentage is through the roof. She's been on fire. This has been one of the easiest bets you can make this month. So is she going to continue this into 10 straight made games, 12? I don't know, but if you've been making off Rakia Jackson, keep going back to her. Rays at the Guardians. This one comes off of the WagerTalk free picks page. Take a look at the Rays money line here. The Rays won, they're 3-0 last week. They won 9-0. And this is crazy. Guardians, they've lost 6 straight. What do they have? 0 runs in like the last 28 innings, or so, like the Guardians' bats have just been anemic. So getting Rays at plus money is interesting. And then we mentioned the Diamondbacks and Brewers yesterday. I'm going right back to this Brewers team. Over 4.5 on their team total. Fat for Arizona. 18 earned runs last 28 innings. The Brewers put up 7 last night against Arizona after losing 2 straight. Maybe their offense is back on track. I'm willing to believe it. So let's take a peek at the Brewers here. All right. Roger, we mentioned there's a little bit of steam on the Cubs. I would expect a lot of steam to come in throughout the course of the day. You got to remember, when we're recording this right now, it's 12:20 Eastern time. It's only 9:20 out in Vegas and out west. So you got to believe that there's going to be a lot of money on a public team like the Cubs and then fading that Verlander. So let's bring in Brian Power here. Let's talk some college football. Let's talk some MLB. And we also got to talk the Blitz. Brian, first show was last week. It was great. So tell us real quick about the Blitz. It's going to be every Thursday right after this show.
Yes, every Thursday live at 1 p.m. Eastern. We take your guys' questions. I see some questions actually rolling in right here about college football. Guys, if you want your question on this week's college football slate, guaranteed to be answered, tune into the Blitz 1 p.m. Eastern Thursday, immediately following Andy and WagerTalk today. I'll be joined by Ralph Michaels, who you just heard. Not sure who the other person is, but it will be another one of our top college football handicappers. And we'll just, again, this is a special week, too. It's a great week to watch if you missed last week. Because last week, we went in depth on all 5 games. This week, we want to cover as much as possible. There's games Thursday, there's games Friday, there's games Saturday, there's games Sunday, there's games Monday. Anything you want to know about, ask away. We'll get to it. Obviously, some big matchups, Ohio State, Texas, LSU, Clemson, got Notre Dame, Miami on Sunday. Even if you want to know about the smaller matchups, that's what we're here for. 1 p.m. Eastern live. You got to tune in live if you want that question answered.
Oh, man, I can't wait to come with some bizarro questions for the panel. You guys, there's going to be some questions coming out of nowhere from me, Brian. You just guaranteed that you have to answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, thank you. The answer is hand. Thank you very much. I don't need a comb or a brush. We just take a little gel, use the hand, leave it all messed up. That's the answer, buddy. Tell you what, the hair's going a little gray, but I was blessed with a lot of it, Andy. That's so at least I got something going for me in that regard.
Hey, that's the big win. That's the big win right there. So, all right, let's jump into some. Let's start with college football here. Let's take a look at the Wisconsin and Miami of Ohio team. I mean, this is a Miami team. Correct me if I'm wrong. They lost all 11 offensive starters. They only have 3 defensive starters, but it's a brand new team. This is crazy. Wisconsin, I know they got that new transfer quarterback from Maryland. They are returning some offensive linemen. I was reading that the history is terrible for Miami when they face out of conference opponents early in the season. Like they beat one of them in the last 20 years. What's your take on this game here? This has got to be a tough one to handicap. I mean, how can you possibly predict what we're going to get from Miami in this one?
Well, I'm going to try. I think that's why you're having me on. So hopefully we all learn a little something. I have hung out at both of these campuses, by the way, a long time ago. Both fun places, Madison, Wisconsin, and Oxford, Ohio, if you ever had a chance. But let's tell you what's going to happen. Let me tell you what's going to happen in the football game here. Wisconsin, what do you need to know? 22-year bowl streak was snapped last season, Andy. They finished just 5-7 straight up, improving on that win total here in 2025. Going to be pretty tough. Why? Because the Badgers face arguably the toughest schedule in the entire country this year. They draw 8 of the top 11 teams in the Big Ten. Yes, let me repeat that. 8 of the top 11 teams in the Big Ten, which is an 18-team conference. College football has some trouble with math. That's okay. But they also face Alabama in the non-con. Why do I bring that up? Well, I think it's pretty imperative for Luke Fickell to have a strong start these first 2 games, which are against Miami of Ohio, more on them in just a second, and then Middle Tennessee next week. Because if they want to get back to a bowl this year, they've got to – you would expect they're going to win regardless these first 2 weeks. But I think in terms of building confidence for the rest of the season, Andy, they need to look good. So you mentioned some of the history here and how it is not exactly smiling on Miami of Ohio. More often than not, they take their lumps in the non-conference portion of the schedule before ramping up and competing for a MAC title. I know the MAC well. I went to a MAC school. Miami's just 12-30 straight up under Chuck Martin against non-conference opponents. On top of that, how about 0-8 against the number, their last 8 road openers? And this one figures to go pretty poorly because Wisconsin, as you'd expect, has had the max number, 23-0 straight up the last 23 games against MAC opponents. They've covered 15 of those 23. So the question is, you mentioned the big number here. Can Wisconsin cover it? It's very interesting. We have a 17.5-point favorite here. Let's not bury the total, Andy, as well. A total of 39.5. So we have a 17.5-point favorite and a total of 39.5. My view, Badgers probably going to win pretty big here. Again, I think it's really important for that for a strong start. Build confidence for the rest of the season, given the schedule that awaits. You referenced this, Andy, at the top of the breakdown. I like what Fickell did in the transfer portal. The team got a lot stronger in the trenches on both sides of the ball. That Phil Longo hire, when they brought him in, that was a kid. Nobody wants to run an air raid in Madison, Wisconsin. That was a curious hire. So I'm glad he's out of there. I think in Madison, they're glad he's out of there. We're going to see a return, I think, to a traditional style of Wisconsin football. And then you mentioned it, Miami, Ohio, losing all 11 starters from last year on the offensive side of the ball makes it pretty tough sledding for game one. I would play Wisconsin both first half and full game here. I think they run away from them pretty quickly and then hold on for a big win, maybe about 2% on each.
You're right. An air raid in Madison, Wisconsin in December.
Yeah, they didn't want that.
It's not going to go very well in 0 degree weather. Madison, unbelievably fun party college town. Like
yes.
Just unbelievable. They know how to party. My family's from up there. Yeah, they know how to get down in Wisconsin. All right. A couple questions here while we have you on. Carson Beck, any thoughts on Carson Beck? We got questions. Justin says he's looking to fade Miami against the spread as much as possible this year. Agree, disagree, or is this just week one?
I'm going to probably try to find a way to. Well, I think I talked about it last week, Miami and Florida. Was it last week, 2 weeks ago? It was one of those 2 weeks that I was on. We talked about Miami and Florida and how it is tough to invest your money in Mario Cristobal, especially in a big game. I get the trepidation with backing the Canes against the Notre Dame team that obviously played for a national championship last year. But, God, part of me, I know when Sunday rolls around, I'm going to be looking to probably get involved in the Miami side as a home dog. I think Notre Dame takes a step back. Let's not forget their quarterback situation. I think that's more important in a true road game right off the rip. I would not be looking to go big on North. That's what I'll say for this game. I have not made a decision, but I can tell you with 95% confidence, I will not be on Notre Dame as a side.
All right, well, let's move to MLB here, and let's talk the Phillies and the Mets. Luzardo for Philly, Manaea by the Mets. Manaea has absolutely been lit up the last 4 starts. You know me, I love team totals. I am staring hard about this team total to fade Manaea. But what's your breakdown on this game?
Well, maybe a little bit different here. Let's talk about what we saw yesterday first before we talk about today. Phillies took money yesterday in the market. I don't know if that was on the Steam report or not. And that did not work out too well because the Phillies lose the series opener by a score of 13-3. There's not going to be a lack of motivation on either side here, guys. Obviously, some teams have fallen out of contention. That's a big part of the handicap as we roll into September in Major League Baseball. Some teams just do not care. But the Phillies, they're looking to expand their lead in the division, not to mention they're also competing for a first-round bye come playoff time. But even after the big win last night, I think the Mets still probably the more motivated team here. And it doesn't necessarily guarantee victory, obviously. But not only are they chasing the Phillies in the division, but the Mets have to worry about the Reds, who are only 2.5 games in the rear view in the race for that last NL wild card. So similar to yesterday, I actually disagree with the way this line is moving. I think at home, where they have a 42-24 record, the Mets should be slight favorites in this game. This is a team that, remember, had the best record in all of baseball back on June 12th. I know that was a while ago. Okay, they were 45-24 overall at the time, just 25-37 since. But overall, you have to keep a big picture in mind. You cannot. I always preach this on these breakdowns I do here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. You can't fall victim to recency bias. I know 2 months is kind of a long time, but overall, I think the Mets are still a lot closer to the top than they are the bottom of the league. I still have them power rated in the top 10. Now, will they go 11 for 19 with runners in scoring position again like they did last night? No, probably not. But worth noting, Philly starter Jesus Luzardo, and this is where I'm willing to get involved with the Mets, Andy. Why? Luzardo has been guilty at times of tipping pitches, and he's had 4 starts where he's allowed 6 or more runs in 5 or fewer innings. So I think the offense could be there for the Mets. You mentioned Manaea. He has absolutely struggled in August. Team's 0-4 his last 4 starts. But you look at expected versus actual ERA. I know the commenters love when I bring up expected ERA. He has a 3.77 expected ERA versus a 5.15 actual ERA. So that's a sign he's pitched actually a little bit better than what some of the traditional numbers will tell you. Also, he's a lefty, and this is key. Because since the break, Phillies bottom 10, both batting average and WRC plus against lefties. Furthermore, 23.3% strikeout rate against southpaws for the season. And yes, the Mets have done well at home against the Phillies this season and beyond. So I'd like to take a small flyer on the New York Mets here. This is a 3% client play.
Oh, nice. Good for. All right, so we just got a free 3% client play on the Mets there. All right, I'm still gonna look at that Phillies team total over. Maybe they can win big.
Yes,
maybe
there you
the
go.
Mets win like
7 to 6.
8-7.
We're all happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. There we go.
All right, Brian. Once again, tell us about the Blitz one more time. It's live. It's interactive. You guys go on there and ask as many questions as you want about the college football slate. One more time, tell us about the Blitz and tell them what you have up for $5 Tuesday.
Yeah, we're going to start with the biggest games, obviously, such as Texas, Ohio State. But any game you want to know about, jump in there 1 p.m. Eastern, like Andy just said, immediately following Wager Talk today on Thursday. So Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Get those questions ready. We'll talk Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even TCU, North Carolina on Monday, if you are so inclined. Gave you a lot of great information on the program last week. I know that I did, unfortunately, get my big play wrong over the weekend on Kansas State. I thought they outplayed Iowa State for the record, but no one cares because they lost the game. But every other game, I think I was right on the show that we talked about. So tune in again. I have of course, we've been talking, and you see on your screen right there, it is $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk.com. My best bet, a 4% play, is currently available for you. Guessed it, $5. I've won 5 straight in MLB, Andy. Perfect 5 and over the last 3 days. I believe that has me atop the leaderboard over at WagerTalk.com. So WT.buzz/BP as we look. I gave you the Mets for free. Got one more for you. We look to make it 7 in a row after tonight on the Diamond.
All right, I'll be pulling for you. 777. Let's go for it. Thanks, Brian. Have fun on the Blitz. Can't wait to join you. Thanks so much for joining us. Great breakdowns. Let's go to Contender Series here real quick. We're going to do this. We're going to do this every week where I will look at the Contender Series matchups and I'll try and make a case for the underdogs. So let's pull up the screen here. We'll start in the main event here with Ryan Gaudra and Trent Miller. The case for Trent Miller is that he can get this to the ground. He's much better on the ground. If he keeps it on the feet, he's going to get blasted and he's going to get knocked out. Gaudra by far the better striker. But Trent Miller has looked good on the ground at times. Does that translate to getting a contract on Contender Series? Not so much. But if he can get a finish on the ground, he'll get one. That's the case for Trent Miller. I'm going to come back to this next fight. Let's move to Christian Perez and Sosa. I actually really like Christian Perez in this one. Sosa has been around the block. He's fought in Bellator. He's fought in PFL. He's fought really good level competition, but I think Perez has the better upside. He's taken basically a year and a half off from MMA. He did fight in karate combat. I love that he took a year and a half off. This guy has like 14 pro fights at age 26. His striking is good, and if you watched face-offs, my gosh, does he have a huge cheering section for him. He looks confident, looks like he's finally grown into his full, man, powerful body. I like Perez to get it done by decision here. Dante Johnson and Abby. The only case for Abby is if Dante Johnson tires himself out beating the you-know-what out of Abby in the first round, because that's what he's going to do. Abby, like this Darian Abby's not very good, but Dante Johnson's way shorter, but he's way powerful. He's going to hit him a million times in the first round. If Abby does not get knocked out, maybe he can get the win if Johnson tires out, but that one's tough. Damian Wilson, Mario Barbosa. Wilson, he has incredible knees in the clinch. He's knocked out 2 guys with knees in the clinch, which you don't see very often. But if this stays at range, Barbosa all day. And then this Alec Lorenz, I cannot make a case for him. I can't make a case for him. He's not good. His striking isn't good. His takedowns are not good. I think he gets melted in the first round. I mean, it's minus 1,100 for a reason, but I cannot, in good faith, say, yeah, sprinkle a little bit of money on this dog. Just can't. So that's your Contender Series breakdown of my $5. Best bet for today is in Contender Series. We hit our best bet last week, so we're looking to make that 2 in a row. So, all right, Chris, let's do the weekly recap here real quick, and we'll get out of there. If you guys could hit the like button. Every week, you guys, hey, let's talk recap, but let's talk our portfolio. So here we go. Last week was an incredible week. We went 18-6 for plus 24 units. That's if you flat bet. If you follow different percentages, calculate them all on your own. NFL was good. WNBA was good. MLB just lost a little. Soccer. MMA was great. Golf was fantastic. Cricket was fantastic. I really don't have any I don't have any problems with any bets that we did. So it was a much, much needed big boost to the bankroll. So we have a 30-day special up. The promo code is Andy30. It gets 50% off 30-day special. So we're coming off of a huge, huge week, looking to add to the profits. These are all bets that I bet with my own money. So that was a really, really nice week for all of clients. So, and then we did our portfolio last week, and people said they liked looking at it. So, all right, I'll share my personal portfolio where I am. Leave us a comment if you're interested in this, or if you want nothing to do with it, so we can pull that up real quick, Chris, and I can show everybody where I'm at. One of the reasons why the week was big is I've had to pull money out of my sports betting bankroll for my new business. I need to invest in my business. The production company is doing really good. Overall for the year, stocks and crypto are good for the year, but the prices are going down, and it's getting ready to be a good time to buy stuff. I got my eye on Bitcoin. This is not financial advice. I'm just an idiot on the internet. It's just really, really expensive launching this new business, but I was able to take a chunk from last week's winnings and invest it into that. So I'm building my production company, and my new business is up. I'm going to continue to try and put money into those businesses and into stocks and cryptos while it's dipping down now, and I'm going to try to avoid as much personal spending as possible. I'm terrified, but really excited over the next 6 months. But for me, it's buckle up, don't spend a lot of cash, and keep those investments coming. So, but sports betting bankroll has been pretty good this year, down a little bit, but the last 2 years have been really, really good, and we're coming off that big week. So I have high hopes for the rest of the year. So, all right, yeah, Javi, you said the same thing about Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, this thing, I'm looking right now, it's down to 109. This is the lowest it's been in a month, and it tends to do this every fall. You got to look at the fall. It just kind of dips below. So I'm trying to pick my spots. I don't have a lot of cash sitting aside ready to get in there, but I'm with you 100%, Javi. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. It's $5 Tuesday. We're going to have a great Tuesday. I just know it. Get as many $5 plays as you want. Make sure you're betting responsible, though. We don't want a huge chunk of our bankroll and a bunch of plays just on a Tuesday, but try out as many handicappers as you want. Try your favorite. Try a new one. Helps to see if you vibe with a handicapper, if you really like their write-ups. But really appreciate everybody in the chat, and leave us a comment. Tell us what your best bets are. So, the kid, Brian Power, looks like a vacuum salesman. Do they even have those anymore, Chris? Is it a thing, vacuum salesman? Like, yeah, like there used to be door-to-door vacuum salesman when I was a kid. I haven't seen a door-to-door vacuum salesman. Like, why would you need that when there's Amazon and Walmart.com? I don't even know if they make vacuum salesmen anymore, but appreciate the comment. He'll get a kick out of that. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. Hit that like button on your way out. Much love. Good luck on your bets tonight. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same place. Take care.
With the NFL season right around the corner, what AFC future bets should you be getting in right now? Well, you're about to find out next on Bet On It. Kelly Stewart here, joined by Marco D'Angelo and Yanni The Greek. Boys, Football season is finally here. I'm so excited. We're going to discuss some division winners today, as well as some teams to play on or against in the AFC, some teams to make or miss the playoffs, of course, some season win totals, and those Super Bowl champions. Let's get right into it. VR and I are in lockstep early on here in the AFC, so I'm going to let him go first. Actually, I lied. All three of us. We got a trio of three of us, all like the Buffalo Bills. VR, I'll let you have the floor first and hear what you have to say. I mean, this is just unprecedentedly chalky and disgusting. I'm ashamed of us already.
I know, but the thing is, you got to try to cash a ticket, and the probability is that the Bills are going to win this division. I think greater than minus 300. I think there's even greater than a 75% chance they win this division. I mean, this is a team that won 13 games in 2024. And if you look at the division, they're the only team that had a positive point differential. Everyone else allowed more points than they scored. So that's the first hill everyone else has to climb. Then they've overtaken the Patriots a long time ago, and they are now that team that wins it every year. They're going for 6 straight in the AFC East. I don't see anything changing. You have MVP quarterback in Josh Allen. Now, last year was historic type of season. He's going to regress off that. It's going to be almost impossible to sustain that kind of production. But you don't need to in that division to still win it easily because they just have so many weapons on offense. They're first in the AFC as far as point differential goes. Only second to the Detroit Lions in the entire NFL. The only issue is health, because they don't have a lot of depth at the skill position level. So as long as they stay healthy, again, this team is only going forward because they have an upgraded defense now. They added some depth there. They added Joey Bosa, Hairston, Tre'Davious White. Like this, now they're not just that offensive team. They're just as loaded on the defensive side. They were number 1 in turnover ratio. I don't love that at plus 24. So they got a little bit lucky. And the number 2 team was Pittsburgh, and they had 8 less. So it shows you just how good of a season Buffalo had. Like they did everything right. And they only gave away 2 fumbles in the entire season. So again, their luck probably won't be that good, but it doesn't need to be to win that division because you look at everyone else. You look at New England. I know everyone's excited about them with Josh McDaniels coming back as the OC, but you got a new head coach in Vrabel. That's going to take a little bit of while. And even though they spent a lot of money in the offseason, I think the most in the entire NFL, and have an easy schedule, they only won 4 games last year. So how forward of a leap are they going to make? What are they going to win? 8 more games than last year? 9 more games than last year? That's not going to happen. Miami, same thing. They only won 8 games in 2024. The offensive line's a concern. Tua's durability is a concern. He's going to have weapons, but the defense allowed the least points in the division. I don't think they're going to have that kind of year again. Like, I think they're going to take a step backwards. The Jets, they're in rebuilding mode pretty much each and every year now with a new head coach, rookie in Fields. The production on offense is going to be a problem. They have an average defense. I just don't see who's going to overtake the Bills. They would have to, Josh Allen would have to get injured. They would have to have just so much bad happen to them to not win this division. I'm surprised they're not minus 400. Where they win it 8 out of 10 times, because I think it's right around there. It should be.
Marco, as you and I mentioned, there's a value here, right? VR said, hey, they should be priced even higher. But the reality is, even though there is no value, and we're probably not going to bet it, you can't make a case for the Jets, the Dolphins.
No.
Maybe you can make a case for the Pats. You mentioned in your notes that the Jets are undervalued, 18-1. I mean, the Jets aren't going to win this division.
The Jets aren't going to win this division, but I'm talking about where the Jets are undervalued. This is all the Bills' division. Don't get me wrong. In minus 300, I agree with Ace. It should be higher than that. So if you want to say, hey, there's a little bit of value here, you can do it. In horse racing, we have a thing where they're called bridge jumpers, where they'll bet a horse that can't lose. They'll bet them to show and take that 210 return, 5% on their money. The beauty of that is their money's only tied up for 2 minutes. Okay. And then they get that 5% return. you're talking about if you want to lay with Buffalo for minus 300, you're laying your money for the whole football season before you can cash that. Now, for people that do this for a living and, have your bankrolls, you can make a significant wager and tie up that kind of money. For the average bettor, they can't. How much money can you tie up on, for a bet that you're going to only win, laying 3-1? They're not going to do it. Where I see value is I think the Jets are going to be underpriced. And I'm talking about on a weekly basis with the point spread. I don't think the Jets are going to be as bad as everybody thinks they are. And there's a couple reasons for that. Everybody, Aaron Rodgers is gone. They couldn't get the job done with Aaron Rodgers. How are they going to get it done with Justin Fields? Well, Aaron Rodgers was hurt the first year he was there. And the second year, he had a slow start because he missed the entire season the year before. And he's ancient, in age. And we'll talk about him later now being with the Steelers. But Justin Fields, speaking of the Steelers, didn't get a fair shake last year. He was 4-2 in the 6 games he started for the Steelers. I think he's going to the Jets with house money, basically, because the expectations aren't high. You're coming in after Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers couldn't get it done, what are the expectations of you? I think he really has a chance to excel. And if you look at this Jets team going back the last 5 years, they were a team that a lot of people thought were just a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. And they thought once they got Aaron Rodgers, that would happen. They have a mobile quarterback that, again, was handcuffed with an offensive system when he was in Chicago, which was a nightmare. He actually was starting to show some signs of improvement in Pittsburgh, but because they had the commitment to Russell Wilson, he never got the chance. I think they are going to be a bettable team this year. Plus the points, you're going to get them in a dog a lot because of the undervalue. I think they're going to surprise some teams. That's what I mean. We're finding value in this division.
All right, let's move along to the AFC West. Now, I think it's funny. None of us picked the Chiefs here. And I think that kind of is for obvious reasons. Chiefs cheapest price to win this division in the last 5 years. Very, very telling. And that's because I think we're going to see 2 teams take a step forward. I'll talk about one of them and I'll let the boys talk about the other. John Murray told me back in June when we did an episode of Kelly and Murray that Broncos got bet to win this division. They got bet to go over their season win total. And I thought, whoa, wait a minute. I thought the Broncos kind of superseded some expectations. That is coming from the girl with the Broncos helmet behind her. But I do think Bo Nix in his second year is going to be very interesting with Sean Payton. I think my biggest caveat here and why I thought, all right, let's find a team that can go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. And everyone seems to like the Chargers. Obviously, I'll get into that Chiefs disdain and value later on in the show, as I know the comments are going to want to say. And by the way, while we're on that subject, give us a like, hit that subscribe button. And if you think we're dead wrong, tell us in the comments. If you agree with us, we like those comments as well. VR, I'm going to let you go first. Talk to me about the Chargers and why you don't think it's going to be the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I really do think this Charger team is live. And if, things fall right for them, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. They won 11 games in 2024. They had a better point differential than the division winner, Kansas City. That offense scored the 5th most points in all of the AFC, and the defense allowed the least points in all of football, okay? They made the playoffs in Harbaugh's very first year. Bear has even more offensive weapons this time around. Now, the defense, all the talk is they lost Bosa, but they're still solid. They're still solid. If you look at their strength of schedule, too, it's average. It's mid-level. It's not as if they have the toughest strength of schedule this year. Now, Kansas City's still the division favorite, obviously, but with a revamped offensive line, 6th toughest strength of schedule, and only had the 5th best point differential in the AFC in 2024. So even though they represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, they were only 5th in point differential. Got a little bit lucky there. Now, you look at Denver, Bo Nix, second season, more weapons, but a little regression should be expected from an offense that scored the most points in the division and a defense that allowed the second least in all of the AFC, but they benefited from an easy schedule last year. That's for sure. You look at Vegas, rebuilding mode, Carroll's first year. Everybody knows about that. Geno Smith, rookie running back. They just need a lot of help. Only 2 teams scored less points in the AFC than the Raiders. So they're just way behind, and they were tied for second worst in turnover ratio. 0 wins in the division in 2024. They pose absolutely zero threat. I like the Chargers to overtake Kansas City, and they're giving me 3-1 at that shot. Got to take it. 1 in 4 times they surpassed KC.
All right, Marco, anything to add to the Chargers analysis from VR?
Oh, Kelly, it's more where I'll go is I'll say why I didn't take Denver. The narrative is Kansas City is slipping back to the field, and Denver and the Chargers are moving closer forward. You're going to be Team Harbaugh or you're going to be Team Peyton. The reason I think you're going to see a better step forward from the Chargers is this. They've got the veteran quarterback with Justin Herbert versus Bo Nix. He had a great rookie season. Can he duplicate that? I talked about it in the other video that we did. Sophomore jinx. The rest of the league has game film on him now. I think you've got a veteran quarterback that, remember, with the old coaching staff, and we made a lot of fun with the gambling that he did and everything. When I say gambling, the chances he took, on 4th downs and different things. This team was still very close to getting over the hump. Now they've got a good coach that is in his 2nd year. And compare what happened last year with Sean Payton from year 1 to year 2. You saw the big jump up. You're going to see that big jump up this year with the Chargers, and I think they have a better core in the veteran quarterback to make a bigger leap. I think this is the Chargers' year to get it done.
All right, let's move along to the NFC North, where VR and I are in agreement here. And look, Ravens, pretty chalky. Not horrifically chalky, but chalky enough that I don't think I would actually get to the window with them. It's not so much a play on the Ravens as I just don't see it being the Steelers, who, by the way, Aaron Rodgers and I are the same age. I know how I feel just sitting in this chair doing these shows, let alone getting hit by 250-pound men. Let's talk about Joe Burrow, his 6th season, running a little short on time. I do believe Lamar has finally bought into the system with Derrick Henry by his side. VR, tell me if there's some value here in laying the chalk with the Ravens. -165 now currently is pretty steep.
A ton of value, Kel. And here's the key. Here's what you got to remember. I know that many recreational bettors don't want to tie up their money for 3 or 4 months at a -160. They don't mind doing it at +400, +500. But the goal is to place good bets and move on. And if you're bet sizing correctly based on your bankroll, then you shouldn't be worried about tying up your money long term. The only reason that becomes a problem is if you're over betting your bankroll or you're underfunded. That's it. Otherwise, you should want to place a bet where you're getting the best of it. And right now, the Ravens at anything less than -200 is giving you the best of it. This is a team that won 12 games in 2024. They were tied for first in the AFC in point differential with the Bills. Number 1 in yards per play was this Baltimore team, okay? They're the highest. At the end of the season, they were my highest power-rated team in the AFC. The fact they didn't win the Super Bowl is irrelevant. This is the NFL. They don't play 7-game series. The cream doesn't always rise to the top. There's a lot of randomness in the 60-minute football game. But when that season ended last year, Baltimore was the highest power. There was no one in the AFC that was going to be favored over Baltimore, okay? They were a top 3 offense and a top 3 defense, the most balanced out of everyone that made the playoffs. And they're trying to be the first team now in division history to win it 3 straight. Shows you how competitive this division has been. Harbaugh's now signed through 2028. There's comfort there. They return their offensive and defensive coordinators. So no new faces there. The defense was elite, and they just added more to it through the draft. On offense, they're loaded. The only question mark is the kicking game because Justin Tucker's finally gone, but he's aged now. So they're doing the right thing. You look at the rest of the division because that's what you have to fade. Cincinnati, offense, potent, scored third most points in the AFC, but they also allowed the third most points in the AFC. They got a new defensive coordinator and they picked up some draft picks, but you're not tested yet. So you can't take a flyer on them yet. I just don't think going out on that risk curve, the return is good enough so far. Pittsburgh, the end of the season, you saw how they unfolded. They lost 4 straight. They have a top 10 toughest schedule in 2025. And Aaron Rodgers isn't in his rookie season. So there's going to be questions marked there with the age and durability. Finally, Cleveland, worst turnover ratio, 6 more than the second worst. So they should get a little more lucky this year, but they won 3 games last season. How far are they going to progress with the second toughest schedule in all of football? How the Ravens aren't minus 200 is beyond me. Ton of value at anything less than that. Ravens win this one easy.
All right, Marco, tell me why you're being the contrarian here and taking the Bengals.
Well, to use one of your sayings, Kelly, I could have been a chalk-eating weasel and went with you guys. I don't disagree that the Ravens aren't the best team in the division, but, we want to find some value. And I really do believe that the Cincinnati Bengals present value. And what Ace said is 100% true. This team offensively is loaded. They are going to put up this year, I think you're going to be talking about like video game numbers, okay, with this offense. The question mark was the defense last year. Yeah, they made some improvements in the offseason, but will those transform onto the field? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it can't be any worse than it was, but what is going to be better is the start of the season. If you remember, the last few years, the Bengals have dug themselves holes. Every year at the beginning of the season, whatever the reason was, they got off to slow starts. Part of the reason a few years ago, Joe Burrow had his appendix taken out in, the middle of summer and then wasn't ready for the start of training camp. Missed valuable time, slow start. Last year, he was coming off of a season-ending injury the year before. There was rust. He was this coach doesn't like to play his starters in preseason. So they never hit the ground running. This year coming in, what'd they do? Week 1, starters saw time. They got the reps. They are making a concerted effort to get off to a good start, not dig themselves a hole. Because at the end of the season, everybody said, one team you don't want to play in the playoffs would be Cincinnati. Okay, you don't want to face that offense. And no matter how bad the defense was playing, that offense is a threat. The other thing, you know what? Joe Burrow, I think this is his year. And this is a spot where I am going to give you a bonus play. I'm going to take Cincinnati for the division at plus 275. But here's your bonus play for the division. I'm taking Joe Burrow to win the MVP this year. You can get him at plus 600. Why? Well, if everybody's right and this defense is as bad as they think it's going to be, and Joe Burrow's offense is as good as it is, he's going to light up the scoreboard, and he's going to carry this team, and he'll put up those video game numbers. And, yeah, when you talk MVP, what comes to mind? Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. All of those guys have won the MVPs in recent years. Okay, this is a league that sometimes when they hand out these awards, they'll give it to somebody on the do factor instead of giving it to a repeat. And one thing that other than Patrick Mahomes that Joe Burrow has in his corner that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen don't have yet, he's actually made it to a Super Bowl. I'll take the Bengals plus money for the division, and I'll take Joe Burrow MVP.
Get 7 days of unlimited access or flex picks for just $69. Unlock 7 days of all access picks or flex picks for just $69, guys. That is less than $10 a day for all of the nonstop action. You're going to get NFL, MLB, UFC, WNBA, soccer, golf, and of course, much, much more. You get to choose your expert, or you can switch things up daily with your flex access. This is the unlimited deal for the fans who want it all. All right, guys, we are all in lockstep here. And it makes sense when we're all in lockstep on the chalk, but now we're all in lockstep on a dog. a plus 350 dog. Marco, I'm going to let you go first. Tell me why we all like the Colts, because I think we're taking some crazy pills here.
I'll tell you what, Kelly, when I saw the sheet and saw that we all agreed on the dog, it scared the hell out of me. I'll be honest with you, because you're right. To land on a logical choice makes sense. But for all three of us to take the reach on the Colts, where we don't even know for sure who the starting quarterback's going to be, yeah, they want it to be Anthony Richardson, but, he's been injury prone. He's underperformed. They got an insurance policy this year in Daniel Jones. Personally, I think at some point, Daniel Jones is going to take over the quarterbacking duties of this team, and it will be his the rest of the season when he does it. You look at the Colts, and the reason I'm on them is I think Houston's going to take a step back. And we look at this Colts team, and over the last few years, they've been close. What they've missing was a quarterback, okay? They tried a couple years when they tried somebody at the end of their career. Rivers come in here, Ryan come in here. Then they went the rookie route. That didn't work out. I think one of two things is going to happen. Either Anthony Richardson finally has the light bulb go on and he gets it and he stays healthy and everything's fine. I'll ride that. Or Daniel Jones gets the shot in a new system. He was in the Giants. We know what a nightmare that team has been over the last several years. Getting a fresh start here, I think he's better suited for this offense. This is a team that's got a solid offensive line. They've got a good defense. If they just get quality, consistent play at quarterback, I think they're a playoff team out of this division. And once you get into the playoffs, then anything can happen. I'll go ahead and take the Colts plus the 350, and let's see what happens as the season progresses. But, wow, all three of us on a dog, Kelly? How often does that happen?
It does not. But the good news is you can even get plus 370 at the Westgate Superbook, because I'm guessing that's where our social media producer, John Hoagland, got that odd. So definitely shop around, guys. And that is really important when looking for these. Have multiple books at your disposal. They're all going to move off what they need. You could find an extra 10, 20, 30, 40 cents in some of these futures markets. So keep an eye there. I don't have much to add in addition to what Marco said. Doesn't matter if it's Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. I don't think so. I think Shane Steichen is a great coach. They've got an upgraded defense and a healthy offensive line. VR, I know you're going to get into their schedule a little bit more amongst their running game.
Yeah, I mean, they were an 8-19 last year with a minus 50 point differential, but this is a different year altogether for them. They're going to have the 12th easiest schedule. And I like what Marco said. As far as the quarterback situation, that's the problem. It's the inconsistency of Anthony Richardson, because he's got so many weapons on the offensive side of the ball. He got Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, a solid offensive line. They should be better on the offensive side of the ball, and I think they will improve this year. Defensively, you have a defensive coordinator with an improved defense based on the players they picked up through the draft as well. They're going to be extra motivated this year with the passing of Irsay. I just think this is a team that's completely being overlooked, and it's in a weak division. And getting that plus 350 is what is really attractive to me, because when I look at Houston, they won their third straight title in 2024 with 10 wins, and they have a solid defense. They allowed the least amount of points, but Stroud's he's going to regress this year for sure, I expect, because of that weak offensive line, new offensive coordinator, eighth toughest schedule. It's not going to be easy for this Houston team to repeat. Jacksonville, they only won 4 games last year because of the injury to Trevor Lawrence. A lot of weapons he returns. I even took a small flyer on him at MVP at 50-1. I don't suggest you do, because the defense is still weak. Only one team allowed more points than them in the AFC, so they need to shore that up. And then you have Tennessee, who only won 3 games in 2024. They allowed the most points defensively, second worst turnover ratio in the entire NFL. They got Cam Ward for it, but it's going to take a while. They're in rebuild mode. Colts are live at plus 350. I think anything better than plus 250 is good. at 350, I think that's why we're all jumped on the same side.
Okay, let's keep this train moving. We're going to talk about teams we're betting on or against. VR and Marco have one in common. Marco, I'm going to let you go first. Let's talk about why you don't like my Denver Broncos or your Pittsburgh Steelers.
You see how I'm going against my Pittsburgh Steelers? I have no problem going against the hometown team. I look every year when we enter the NFL season, what teams are getting the hype and the talk and where the excitement is in the off season. Okay. And the remarkable surge that you saw last year from the Denver Broncos in year 2 of Sean Payton being the head coach, everybody automatically, assumes it's going to be another step forward this year. I'm not sure about that. I talked about that with the Broncos, and can Bo Nix carry that into his second season? That's a team that's gotten a lot of hype. That's why I think they're going to be overpriced. Will they be a good team? Yeah, probably. Are they going to contend with the Chargers to try to overthrow the Kansas City Chiefs? Yeah. But I'm talking on a week-to-week basis. I think they're going to be priced overvalued. I think when they are a favorite, they're going to be laying too many points. When they're an underdog, you're not going to be getting what you should be getting with them. So I'm looking to go against Denver. And as far as the Steelers go, was there any more drama than any team in the offseason than where's Aaron Rodgers going to be? Where's Aaron Rodgers going? Is he signing with Pittsburgh? Is he not signing with Pittsburgh? That was his last hope, but he still didn't sign. He waited and waited, and finally he signed. Well, now the Steelers, everybody remember how good of a start they had last year. And then it all come crumbling down when Russell Wilson flamed out at the end of the season. So everybody's assuming that won't happen this year. It wasn't just Russell Wilson where the problems were last year. One of them they got rid of. Pickens, he's no longer there. He's at Dallas. But I just don't see this team being able to do what they're going to need to do regarding the point spread on a week-to-week basis. They're going to be, just like I said with Denver, when they are a favorite, they'll be too big of a favorite. When they're a dog, they're going to be undervalued. Let's wait and see what Aaron Rodgers does. But I'm going to tell you, first few weeks of the season, I'm going to be looking for the spots to go against the Steelers on a weekly basis.
Yanni, add to what Marco said about the Steelers and why you are saying they are also a bet against team for 2025.
They got very lucky last year. Remember, they were plus 16 in turnover ratio, putting them in second best in all of the NFL. They have a top 10 toughest schedule, like we touched on multiple times. They really outperformed the betting market last year. Pay attention to that. They went 11-6 against the spread. I don't see that happening this year, especially with the Aaron Rodgers tax that's going to be attached to that Pittsburgh Steelers team. I think they're a fade. You saw them crumble down the stretch when they needed to win some ball games, and I think they're going to have some problems in that division, especially with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think it's a fade of the Steelers. You got Baltimore there. You have Cincinnati there. I think Pittsburgh's going to have a lot of problems. Fade Pittsburgh, look for spots throughout the season as well, especially early on, because if Rodgers gets banged up, it's a different story. They may be undervalued at that point. But to start the season, it's a different story.
Yeah, as if we haven't talked about the Buffalo Bills enough. They're going to be a bet on team for me. They exceeded their season win total for 8 straight seasons now under McDermott. So keep an eye on betting their season win total over. Does that mean, though, that there is value week to week? I actually do think so. One of their biggest issues has been their defense. And this season, they used all 5 draft picks to fill those holes. We know, as we've talked about with several other teams, it is Super Bowl or bust. I think Buffalo is one of those bet on teams, again, for the season. And if you missed the analysis for the first 15 minutes of the show, while we sat there and talked about the Buffalo Bills, scroll on back and listen over there. Now we're going to get into the playoffs. I asked the guys, I said, hey, I need a plus money team to either make the playoffs or a heavy favorite to miss the playoffs. I'm going to let Marco go first. Marco, tell me why you like the Texans plus 125 not to make the playoffs.
Well, it's simple. We all like the Colts. We think the Colts have a big shot to win that division because I expect regression from the Texans. And this is a division, plain and simple. Two teams aren't coming out of here for the playoffs, okay? It's going to be the division winner, and that's it. And I don't think the Texans win the division. So I don't see them making the playoffs as a wild card. You've got too many other divisions that have much better teams that are going to have better records. We talked about probably two teams out of the AFC North with Baltimore and Cincy. We got Buffalo. It will be one and done there. But you've got Kansas City, the Broncos, and the Chargers. All three of those teams could make the playoffs. So where's Houston going to fit in if they don't win their division? That's why I'm going with Houston not to make the playoffs at plus 125.
Okay, VR, you also like Houston not to make the playoffs. But before you add on to what Marco said, please let us know what you have going on for football season over at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, you only want to jump on board 2025. Really excited for NFL and college football. Right now, I have up my futures package, which includes NFL and college football combo. Over about 9 or 10 already in there, including a 5% big move. The rest will be 4% because only best bets are going into that package. You'll get a lot more between now and kickoff. Otherwise, it's week by week. Looking forward, like I said, and especially make sure bet on it each and every week. I will be sharing a ton of gold. I'll have a lot throughout the season. So excited for 2025.
We are excited for that gold, those steam plays that we love to see every single week. But first, VR, you have to tell me why you think the Texans take a step back. As Marco mentioned, we all like the Colts, and that usually correlates with the teams above them stepping back. But nobody's really talked about the Jags. Do we also think the Jags are going to regress even further than they did the last two seasons?
No, not really, because I'm hoping a healthy Trevor Lawrence improves that team. But I just think they're just way behind. Like, they have a lot to make up, having won only 4 games last year. This Texas team was the Texans were as phony as a $3 bill. I mean, they won 10 games. They won the division, but they had a 0-point differential. That's not like you play that season out 10,000 times. They're not going to win 10 games with a 0-point differential in the NFL. So they really got lucky. That's not going to happen back-to-back years, especially when you have an 8th toughest schedule in all of football. Again, a healthy Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Tennessee, what's Tennessee really going to do? They were the worst team in all football, but they're excited with the number 1 draft pick. And then you have the Colts, which I think are on the up. So this is going to be a big test for Texans, and I just don't think they're that team. They're not that team that's going to take over and now be dominant in that division. So fade the Texans. Look for spots throughout the season as well, especially early on. Another overvalued team going into 2025.
All right, I need everybody to brace themselves. Do not freak out, because I can hear the comment section now. Kelly's just a Chiefs hater. That is not the case, but I do think there is a lot of value here in betting Chiefs not to make the playoffs plus 340. Not only is their schedule just absolutely brutal, they play 9 playoff teams in 7 primetime games. Also, let's take a step back. When's the last time Kansas City lost a Super Bowl? Oh, that's right, to the Bucs. And then they followed it up with an 8-9 season. I will say this. I was reading Mark Lawrence a couple of weeks ago, and he almost scared me off this bet with the stat. 40 of the last 57 Super Bowl losers have still made the playoffs the following season. But as we've spoken about the AFC West and the Broncos and Chargers both looking very competitive, I'm going to take the Chiefs and Andy Reid to take that step backwards and not make the playoffs. Time to get into those Super Bowl champions. Marco D'Angelo, I'm going to let you go first, but please let everybody know what you have going on at WagerTalk in terms of specials.
Well, we got a special going right now. You can get the entire football season, college and pro, through the Super Bowl. Not only me, but pairing up, we're packaging it with Ben Burns. You can buy me by myself. That's still available. But if you want to get the top 2 football handicappers from last year, college and football combined, money won. Ben was number 1. I was number 2. You can get both of us for $1,498. That's a discount off of buying us individually. And it also has a bonus. You'll pick up a 7-day flex package from both of us where you can use for baseball, WNBA, any other plays that we have. Whenever we have a big play or something and you want to grab it, you'll have 7 opportunities to do it with a 7-day flex package that you can stretch that out whenever you like. So check that out over at WagerTalk.com right now.
Okay, Marco, tell me why you like the Cincinnati Bengals to win the Super Bowl.
Well, Kelly, I was between 2. I could have went with the Chargers or I could have went with Cincinnati. Those were my 2 picks for the long shot to win the Super Bowl. But I have been talking the Bengals the entire show, so why stop now? I'm going to go ahead and take the Bengals. And as I mentioned when I talked about him for MVP, the one thing that Joe Burrow does have on his resume that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson doesn't is he was able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in an AFC playoff game to get to the Super Bowl, where those other guys have not yet. I think they have a big shot this year, but if you want to split the bet, I have no problem taking the Bengals at 22-1 for the Super Bowl and to take the Chargers at plus 25-1. I think the AFC is more wide open and more vulnerable. I know everybody likes the top 2, Buffalo in Baltimore, but Kansas City is still there, which gives value because people still believe in them and Patrick Mahomes and the Swifties. I had to get one Swiftie in on the show.
Swifties. I don't know. Just as you were saying that, I was on Instagram and noticed Travis Kelce's GQ shoot. Yeah. Anyway, VR, you're going to take the Chargers since Marco was undecided. So tell me why you think Jim Harbaugh, good grief, Jim Harbaugh is going to win a Super Bowl.
I just put a dime right now on the Chargers at 25-1. They're now 24 plus 24.75 at Sports 411. So if you're looking at your odds screen, I like your Chargers play, and that's what I gave out. I like Cincinnati as well, Marco, and that was a sharp play, Burrow, to win the MVP at 5-1 or greater. You could get 6-1 out there. That scares me a little bit. Cincinnati's probably worth a sprinkle. But I really do think this Chargers team should not be 25-1. Baltimore at better than 6-1 surprises me as well, to be honest with you. I thought they should be a little higher than that. And in fact, I'm seeing Baltimore at 7-1 in some spots. But at 25-1, again, this is an 11-win football team last year. They had a better point differential than Kansas City. I'll repeat that. Kansas City lost the Super Bowl last year. Like Kelly gave that trend, may make the playoffs, but I do think they're going to take a step back. This is one of the most potent defenses in all of football. I think the overreaction to the Bosa loss isn't warranted because, again, they're just loaded everywhere there. And I think the offense takes another step forward. Hopefully they protect the football as well as last season. They have a tough schedule this year. I mean, an average schedule this year compared to a tougher schedule prior. So I think the Chargers, again, at 25-1, just get into the playoffs. And with all that equity, we should be able to make some money off them.
And that's exactly why, VR, I like the Denver Broncos at 25-1. We mentioned Bo Nix, possible sophomore slump. And I think that he is going to be able to come out of this under Sean Payton and not regress. Another thing that I think is we're going to see a better defense. Yes, they had one of the best defenses in the league last year. So that helped Bo Nix in making some of those rookie mistakes. But this defense is going to be a top 3 defense in the league. I know last year they had no running game, and it was so frustrating with Javonte Williams in the backfield. But they got 2 rookie wide receivers to take his place. A great offensive line for those 2 and Bo Nix to play behind. And speaking of positive regression, which has been the name of the show, Broncos last season 1-6 in one-score games. We're going to see if things don't start to go their way. Are the Broncos going to win the Super Bowl? No, of course they're not going to. Is there value in them at 25-1? Yes. I actually think the Baltimore Ravens are finally going to get the monkey off their back and win the Super Bowl this year, but there's not a lot of value there, guys. Just my personal opinion. Let's bring back in Marco and VR. Say goodbye to you guys. I won't see you guys for a whole week. If you guys want to catch the NFC version of this show, you can watch it right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. And if you're into betting college football, you can check out our college football preview of Bet On It, both up right now on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Guys, we'll be back for NFL Week 1 for the NFL edition of Bet On. Of course, we'll be back next week. I'll be live from Ireland to talk about those 5 college football games. Until next week, let's bet on it.
What's up, everybody? It's Hakeem Prophet or Ski Prophet, whichever you prefer to call me. And yes, that is my real name. I am with WagerTalk. I've been betting for almost 10 years now, and I guess we're going to talk about behind the bettor today, so you guys can learn a little bit about myself. I'll go through these cards. I didn't cheat, just so you guys know. I'm seeing everyone for the first time.
That was really interesting.
College football Saturdays or NFL Sundays? Absolutely NFL Sundays. I'm starting to get more into college, but NFL 1000%. What's the best sporting event you've ever attended? That's a really good question right there. Best sporting event I've ever attended. I'll say I really enjoyed a trip with my friends. We went to Florida. I went to Hollandale Beach, Florida. We went to a Marlins game. There was a preseason football game for the Dolphins. And then we also went to Gulfstream Park and bet horses, and we almost won the pick six. So a lot of friends that I started with in the industry were there at that event or events. And it was one of my favorite times.
There's a reason why this guy's turned into...
What's the most memorable sports bet? It's a lot of those. 1,000 of those. Russell Wilson, he threw the end zone pick. So I had Seattle against the Patriots. It was my first time betting $1,000. I thought they were going to win. I thought Marshawn was just going to run it in. And man, that's when you learn you have money and you think you already have it. It's already cashed. Not so fast. So that's one of my most memorable sports bets. What's the best gambling movie ever? I don't know that I've seen too many. I'm not a movie person. I spend most of my time playing sports, watching sports. So gambling movie, I don't even know if I can name one, honestly. I get shamed for my movies or my taste or lack of knowledge of movies. Other than sports betting, what's your favorite way to gamble? Horse racing, 1,000%. If I could do something one day, every single day, that's very high up there on the list. Horse racing is something that I really enjoy doing. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of people in sports betting? Mount Rushmore? I just have people that I really respect in the industry, a lot of friends I respect. This is a tough question. Questions are getting tougher. Maybe I should have cheated. Mount Rushmore people in sports betting.
Also, take a look at the theme.
If I tried to answer this, all you guys would do is laugh at me.
Out in Philly, all that and more coming up on Giants postgame live.
All right, these are my personal Mount Rushmore. So I guess it's just people that
I wonder what your guys' take is.
played a part in what I'm doing today. Peter Loshak, he showed me a lot about everything in sports betting, bankroll management, especially Gianni The Greek. He gave me my first, between him and Loshak, gave me my first chance to speak on a show talking about sports betting. So absolutely Gianni The Greek, 1,000%. Kelly in Vegas, you know, I was just putting my stuff out for everybody. And she's another person who, you know, has a lot to do with where I am today. So I love Kelly in Vegas. I don't know how many people is even on Mount Rushmore, but we got 3 right there. I feel like that's enough. Actually, no, one more. Natalie Rystrom. She also was a part of me having my first show. So have to thank her 1,000% for giving me that opportunity. Best advice for sports bettors: you won't succeed unless you bankroll manage. You just absolutely won't. So it doesn't matter if you can pick a game correctly. If you can't manage your bankroll, you're going to be a loser. So learn to bankroll manage. What's your all-time favorite sports book in Las Vegas? We'll go with the Westgate. We're here at the Westgate. I spend a lot of time here. People come to town and usually can find me here to watch the games. We'll go with Westgate. If there's a specific NFL season that comes to mind as the best, if so, when was it? Yeah, I'm not the big NFL lover like everybody else. I think they get this one as well. I could honestly almost care less. I'll say what comes to mind is the best for me. I was a big LT fan, so we had really good seasons between him and Antonio Gates. We also had Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers. I'll say there was a season we made it really far, almost made it, and I think we lost to the Patriots. So LT being my favorite football player, that's one of my favorite seasons. I don't know what year it is. Football nerds, you guys know. Do you remember a day that was most profitable for you in sports betting? If so, what was it? Yeah, there was a day, I don't know if it was last season or the season before, I went 10-0 on the day. Absolutely killed it. So that was a really profitable day. I obviously had bigger scores as far as pick fives and horse racing or things of that nature, but to go 10-0 in one day.
Corner called them all. Texas ticked.
Do you remember your first sports bet? If so, what was it? I'll roll with this because it's the first one I remember. It was a Super Bowl. The ones you remember are either really big wins or really big losses, but this one was a loss. And I was, we won't say how old I was, but Cardinals versus Steelers. I believe I had the Cardinals, and they pretty much had won it. Like I just remember, I can't tell you the exact play, but Larry Fitzgerald has some miraculous play. He's like looking up at the scoreboard, running, he scores, and then somehow they lost. And that was the first time I had to really pay up. What's the biggest mistake you see sports bettors making today? They just don't care or don't take it seriously. It's okay. Some people want to do it, how do you call it, recreationally. Some people want to do it to actually like investing, and so just determine what you're doing. Like I said, bankroll manage, be smart with it. But that's the biggest mistake I see sports bettors making today, is not really caring enough. If you could only bet one sport for the rest of your life, what would it be? You know, I have a challenger right now. Any other time it would be basketball, 1,000%. But tennis is starting to look kind of nice lately. I love tennis, so tennis is giving it a runner-up. It'll be basketball for now, but tennis close second. I guess that's behind the bettor. Once again, Ski Prophet, Hakeem Prophet. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and yeah, hopefully you got to learn a little bit about myself.
Had it with Phil Cussy.
What's up? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start this show by being transparent. And yesterday, the Liberty did not get there for myself. I had the minus 12, got the best of the number, didn't matter at all. So things have still been doing okay, above 60% the last 2 or 3 weeks, but have lost back-to-back days, so need to pick it up there, Rob. Hopefully yesterday was better for you. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Ski. Yesterday wasn't really much better. I had a small play on the Aces team total over 87.5. Really didn't come close. I don't think I had a chance in that game, especially second half. Slowed down considerably offensively. So, like you, things have still been going good. I'm not going to complain. It's been a winning month in August. We've had like 5 of the last 6 winning months. So, but got to be better here today. I really thought the Aces would have a good chance against that defense last night of the Sky, and didn't work out that way.
Well, let's see if we can do better here today. We have 2 games. I think today's show will be a little bit quicker. So let's get straight to it. 623, 624, Seattle and Indiana opened up -2 for Seattle. Looks like 4 right now, and the total has skyrocketed from 162.5 all the way as high as 169. If we're looking at who is available, nobody on the injury report for the Storm. For the Fever, I mean, we know all the players they've lost for the year, but also going to be without Chloe Bibby. Caitlin Clark still not ready to come back yet. And both of these teams, I mean, still in that playoff race. I'm pretty sure Seattle's like a game above the Fever. So it is an important game for both. That increase in the total, I mean, stands out to me right away, Rob, and I have Fever -4 on the screen. It should be +4. That's my mistake. But yeah, that total moving up by about 6-7 points, I can understand because the Fever haven't been playing much defense. And if you look at the Storm lately, they've been number 1 in pace last 5 games. So I'm curious if you're in agreement with that move up on the total, or how are you looking at this game?
Yeah, when I first saw it, Ski, I immediately checked. I assumed that it meant Caitlin Clark would be back. She's been back to some activities, but obviously listed as out. So then I had to dig a little further, and absolutely right. I mean, Indiana's been playing good offensively too, despite all the subtractions from that offense. 88 plus allowed in 4 straight games. Like you said, Seattle's been picking up the pace a little bit. Seattle's got offensive weaponry. I mean, Seattle's been playing pretty good offense without Gabby Williams contributing on most nights. Her shooting has been down considerably, but Nneka's been awesome. She was awesome last game, had a game winner. We know the players on that team that can score. So to me, I think my biggest worry for Indiana ever since the Sophie Cunningham injury has been defense. Sophie's probably the best remaining perimeter defender on that team. Without her, they really do lack perimeter defense. So Seattle should be able to take advantage. And inside, Indiana's vulnerable as well. So I do agree with the total move. When I looked at it again, I thought to myself, you know what? They're asking for 85 aside. And 4 straight Indiana games have hit 172 or better. That includes Connecticut, 2 against Minnesota. The second one, of course, was with Collier back in the lineup, but one was also against Washington. And Connecticut and Washington aren't teams that we generally consider high-octane offensive teams, yet they were able to get, play Indiana and get over this particular total. So to me, I think the last piece of handicap here would be, is Seattle's defense good enough? And on occasions, it's really not. Seattle's kind of a team that I'll just use the word inconsistency for their defense. Some nights I look at them and I say, that's the defense that you expect. And there's other nights where that defense just doesn't show. So I think this total is probably correct. Indiana must see one way that they can win ball games right now, and it's with points. And Seattle's capable of scoring them.
Good point. Shout out to our guy, UCapper. Says it's 1:40 a.m. in the Philippines, and he's watching the show. Appreciate you tapping in. And he says his only worry on the Storm side is travel fatigue. Yeah, it is their 4th straight road game, but man, they need every single one of these games. I can understand. For some reason, my gut in this game was telling me that the Fever actually come out and throw the first punch, but I don't believe in them for the full game. So I guess Fever first half, Storm full games, kind of how I'm looking at this one, or I am in agreement with the total going up. Yeah. Unless you have anything else, we can move right over to the next game.
Yeah, real quick, Ski, just on Fever first half. I'm just looking right now for you. 45-40, they win. 52-50, they win. 45-52, they lose. But that's a bunch of first half points. Wow. So yeah, I could understand that. And just real quick, back to your playoff mentioning here. For the Storm side, they're only a half a game ahead of Golden State. They're obviously hanging on. They're only half a game ahead of Indiana. Those three teams are within half a game for the 6, 7, 8 slot. So important to both sides here. Extremely important to both sides.
And this next game we're going to talk about here also has big playoff implications. Mercury at Sparks opened up -3.5. It did go up to, I think, about 5, but it's since come back down to the 3.5. Total, though, went from 172.5, and I'm looking at it as high as 177.5. Yeah, the Sparks are outside looking in right now in that 9th spot. I want to say if they just win their next 2 games, then they'll be even with, I think, both the Valkyries and the Fever. And they do play the Fever coming up, I think, next game. So, it's 9-game season for the Sparks. Try to make it into the playoffs. They need every single one. For the Mercury, they're in the thick of things in the standings, but they could definitely use some wins too. They beat the Sparks twice this year. It was earlier in the season. It might have been the first game, and the other one was June 1st. So Sparks look a lot different right now than they did back then. And Mercury have been pretty inconsistent, I think, in general. So if you thought about these teams all season, you would think the Mercury are the better team. But lately, I don't know. I like what I've been seeing from the Sparks a little bit better here at the house. They've been the worst defense here, Rob, pretty much all season. Nothing is changing. They're going to win games by outscoring you. But seeing Kelsey Plum at the end of that last game yelling, when you play some defense, to say it nicely, man, it's one thing to say it, but I'm just thinking, can they do it? I know the Mercury can play defense. Saying all that to say, I'm looking at the Sparks side if I'm betting this one, and if I'm betting the total as well, it would be believing and that the Sparks know if they're going to make the playoffs, they got to play some kind of defense here. So under or Sparks are what I'm looking at here. How are you viewing this game?
Yeah, I was going to mention, because when I saw the clip, I immediately sent it to you of Kelsey Plum. I mean, she was dead serious, but like you just said, I had the same thought. We're 35, 36 games in, and they haven't played defense yet. So what makes her, it's nice to say it, but I don't know that it's going to happen. The only thing is they've had a lot of time off ski. They haven't played since the 20th, the Sparks. They've had the most time off of anybody, and maybe all that time to prep and to rest. Maybe you could come out quick on the defensive end for the first, let's say, 20 minutes. But I don't know that LA is a team that can play defense for a full 40, or maybe they could play defense on a last possession type situation that decides the game. I just don't think they can play 40 minutes of defense. All that said, I like your word used with Phoenix inconsistency. The offense has been what's inconsistent. I had them over 80.5 team total the other day, the last game they played, I think. And they got to 81 with like 3 minutes left, so I won the bet, but they never scored after that. And Satu has been missing in action offensively here. Alyssa Thomas has carried this team. There was one game where I think Kalea Copper played hurt or didn't play at all. I forget which it was. So that hurts a little bit. But if not for Alyssa Thomas, they wouldn't win any of these games at this point in time. So ever since that blow up on the sidelines with Satu, where then she took the day off or the game off for personal reasons, whatever, she came back, she had one good game. And since then, just hasn't been the same. So I have trouble with Phoenix offensively in this one, because my immediate reaction was, let's just go play over 177.5. Generally, they play high scoring games, 2 very high tempo offenses. makes a lot of sense. But the Kelsey Plum quote, the absence of Sabali from the offense, it bothers me enough to keep me off of that total. I do think Phoenix is still the better team, the deeper team, but I'm not willing to play them as a side either. So I have a hard time with this game, and I have not played anything involving side or total yet.
I think that I don't know. I like this game. I really do. We always have the question of rest versus rest, right? Sparks have had 5 days off. Mercury have had 3. I mean, you talked about we could see some defense for the first 20 minutes. We could see some rusty offense too.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very interesting game. Brian says Rakia over 1.5 threes. I don't want to talk anybody off the props. I haven't been digging deep into the props, and Rakia has been playing well, so I don't want to talk you off of that. I think we're done. Quick and easy today here, Rob. Then I can head back home to Las Vegas. So, and ZB Miami says he took Kelsey Plum over 20.5 points. So good stuff here. We will, or before we move it on over to best bets, let's do a little bit of promo here, Rob.
Yeah,
so first up, we'll remind everybody of yesterday, and we'll go to today here as well, because the 2-day double blitz. So less than, what is it here? I think it's about little over 13 hours left. You can take 11% off anything at WagerTalk. You have to use promo code 11 years, and then also it is $5 Tuesday. So there you go, Rob. I see you right there. Everybody has a top play up for $5. I have mine up and available. Pretty sure Vino does too. And if you want to check us out, it's a good day to do so. You can see what the write-up looks like. See if you want to get involved for a longer term. Now, Vino, I will pass it back to you. I'll ask you if there's anything else you'd like to promote. And if you have a best bet for the show, we'd love to hear it. If not, it's all good.
Real quick, just in addition to what you said about $5 Tuesdays, yeah, I do have a play for the birthday special that's still up. It was up yesterday, up today. I made it my NFL Week 1 best bet because I feel like the price is going to move on this game. So if you want to get in early, if you're somebody who likes to bet a little bit early, NFL Week 1 best bet up and available for the $11 birthday price. I'm going to go back to the first game because that's the one I really like. I think Seattle and Indiana are going to go over. Everything I see out of Indiana recently has been just points. And as concerned as I was about them offensively, maybe not having enough, they seem to have enough to score on any occasion here. So they're going to have to win track, meet ski, because we mentioned it. Their defense hasn't been good. And without Sophie, it's even worse. So I'm going to play over. It's the, how should I say it? It's the bad end of the line at this point in time, 160, when you could have gotten 162.5. But it has all the makings of a 170 plus game. So that's going to be the best bet for today. Seattle, Indiana over the total.
All right. Good stuff, Rob. It's going to be a rare day where I don't give a best bet. I've made my one play for $5 Tuesday. I haven't made anything else. I did play my first play for college football, but we're not talking college football right now. So this will be a rare day where I don't have a best bet, but I can't go out without acknowledging this, Rob. Let's put this back on the screen. Hold on, let's put this back on the screen here. And look at UCapper in the chat. Oh, hell no. He says, what is this picture? They got in your mouth right there, RC.
I don't know if he posed for that one or if they just planted that little New Year's Eve thing in his mouth. It's pretty interesting.
Hey, you take one picture with no hat, man. They putting that dome on display every chance they get.
It's what they were waiting for, that one. Oh man.
All right. Well, yeah, we appreciate you guys tapping in with us. Vino, I'll be back with you again tomorrow. I'll be back home in Las Vegas. I appreciate you taking the time to break down the games. Everybody in the chat, you're much appreciated as well. great people, great cappers, and you help make the show what it is. Look at Mark sharing a little bit of tennis action. Monfils over 18 games. He likes this that match. You capper in the chat. Yeah, we appreciate everybody in the chat, whether it's YouTube Shorts, X, Kick, Twitch, Kick, Spotify, Apple. Gotta make sure I get them all in there. Yeah, we appreciate you. We'll be back again tomorrow. Best of luck on all your action, and we will catch you all then.